Now it's case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Green versus Smith.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. and Mrs. Green, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was hit while playing on your watch by a car driven by the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Your initial claim was for her medical bills. Then I see that you revised your claim because her medical bills were covered.
Yes, ma'am.
And now what you're suing for is pain and suffering. Yours, not hers. She doesn't work.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me when this accident happened.
April 4th, 2016.
What time?
It was approximately 4-ish, 5-ish in the afternoon.
What I gather from reading these papers, there was some sort of a barbecue or something going on in the neighborhood, that there were lots of people outside. What was it?
Yes, ma'am. It was spring break. The children were out of school for the week, so they were outside playing, and a neighbor of mine was having like a cookout in their front yard.
Were both you and your wife at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other children at home?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
1.
How old?
He is 4. He's her younger brother.
Did you actually see when your daughter was hit by the car?
No, ma'am, not the moment she was struck.
So at the time she was hit, neither of you were watching her?
Correct.
What kind of car were you driving, sir?
2006 Volvo S60.
And on April 4th of 2016, was your car insured?
Yes, ma'am.
So there was insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
And we agree on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that at some point, and I'm going to get to the accident in a moment, but I assume at some point that the two of you consulted an attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did you consult an attorney?
It was the next day, on the 5th.
We're going to get back to that in a minute.
Okay.
So since you ask you what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Okay, as I arrived in the neighborhood, I would say it was around about between 4 and 5 o'clock.
Is that a neighborhood that you're familiar with?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I lived there since high school.
You live in that neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
Because your house isn't here.
Recently, I've moved outside of the neighborhood now.
But was your house depicted in this sign?
Mind step over to the
Yes,
side?
please.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So I say we were coming from the end of the street.
No, show me first where your house was.
My house is directly in front of his house. Well, so if this is his house, my house would probably be right here. It was the houses were a couple more spaced out. We was probably about 3-4 houses more down the street. So I'll probably have to say probably right here in his house.
Okay, but you weren't going to your house, you were going to your friend's house.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. He stays inside of the cul-de-sac.
Because that sign in blue says friend's house. Is that where you were going?
I was heading directly up the street into the cul-de-sac of the circle.
You live in the cul-de-sac?
Yes, ma'am.
So the friend's house was the friends that she was going to visit.
Yes, ma'am.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
So you live all the way in the cul-de-sac?
Yes, ma'am.
Straight. Okay. Go ahead.
So as I pulled inside the neighborhood, I noticed Brett was pulling in. So we stopped at the end of the street. We'll be at the stop sign. So I stopped. We stopped at the end of the stop sign, rolled down the window. Probably had about 30 seconds worth of talking back and forth. And then I told him I would pull down to his house, which was in the cul-de-sac, which we had another friend awaiting us that was in front of his house already standing outside.
Okay, so you were following him?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't see the accident?
I didn't see it until...
Okay. Go ahead.
So as we were pulling up the street, you can notice that there were some activities going on as far as outside. You had on the left side, which would be the friend's house, it was probably about 15 people outside at the cookout, usual cookouts and stuff like that. So it's not our kids be running in and out the street. So as we pulled inside the neighborhood, we were only going like 4, 5, 10 miles per hour. As I met him at the end of the street, I told him, yo, make sure you drive slow. You know these kids are running out in front of his car. So we pulled down, we're pulling in. We know everybody pretty much on the street. So we blow the horns, say hey to everybody. As I falling behind Brett, with probably about 5 feet between us, and I'm pulling further up the street, and I look to the right, look to the left. But as I look back to the right, because one of our friends was outside, I was like, what's up, man, how you doing? I turn back around, the little girl just pops out of nowhere. And I'm only 5 feet between Brett, and I'm following behind him. So with him going through the road, there's no little kids gonna run out.
So she ran out between 2 parked cars?
No, 2 driving cars, which he was driving in front of me.
So when she ran out, now you can go back there.
Mm-hmm.
When she came out of her area, her side of the street, and it's clear she was going to a friend's house, that's what you say, and the friend's house was across the street.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave her permission to go across the street to the friend's house?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now she's crossing the street.
So she was crossing the street. I mean, there was a whole bunch of kids, and outside our neighborhood, the kids in the neighborhood, it's not like their play yard.
No, don't make it. Just tell me what happened.
Okay, yeah, the kids were in multiple yards. They were next yard.
On the other side of the street?
Yes, they were running. It was one kid, it was a group of kids over here, and a group of kids over there.
So they were running back and forth?
Yes, as they was communicating to each other, I'm figuring that's when she got the cue to go across the street. Another kid might have sighted her to cross the street without.
I don't know. Were there cars parked on the street?
Yes, there was a car parked on the street.
Now, let's just be clear. Is it correct that there was a car parked on the street?
Yes.
So when she ran out, she ran past that parked car. And is that the point of impact?
When she ran out, I heard people yelling, "Stop!" But at that time, I was looking back, and she just literally came from behind.
You were looking back where?
But when I looked back to my left to just see where everybody was yelling, she just literally came from behind the trunk of a Crown Vic. And she's not even taller than the trunk. So I didn't even see her over the car. By the time I seen her, it was like one just big step. And she was right there in front of my car.
And she broke her
Tibia and her knee.
in 2 places.
Yes.
She's lucky she wasn't killed.
Yes.
And she wasn't killed because he wasn't going that fast.
Right.
Yes.
If he was going faster, she would have been killed.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go back, sir. So she went to the hospital. She had surgeries on her leg. And what
Yes,
was the
ma'am.
name of the lawyer?
Mange and Associates.
And they took your case?
Yes, ma'am.
When did the lawyer drop your case?
About 6 months later, that everything was picked up as far as the insurance.
What do you mean that everything was picked up as far as insurance? The lawyer didn't take the case just to cover your medical bills. The lawyer took the case for
Right.
compensation.
Right.
Medical bills were covered. Did you sign a general release?
Yes, ma'am.
You signed the general release with the lawyer in satisfaction of the claim against the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you doing here, is my question. I'm trying to figure it out now. I mean, I didn't know this. It's not anywhere in the papers. But his insurance company made a settlement.
We have no settlement, Your Honor.
Well, you did, because if you signed a did they sign a settlement agreement with your insurance company?
The insurance company did give me a call and tell me they were pursuing further something more on the case.
What?
The insurance company did call me and told me they was looking to sue me.
Did your insurance company pay the Listen,
The insurance
I'm a
company
really
paid the
smart
medical bill.
lady. Did your insurance company pay their medical bills? That's
not
very easy. I
100%.
can pick up the phone.
Yes.
You can get the information. Did his insurance company pay your medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, they didn't pay your medical bills to say, you know what, you're a nice person, we're going to pay your medical bills. You signed a settlement agreement with them. Do you have
We didn't.
Get it. What?
As the police, I was kind of confused, too, because when the police showed up, I didn't get ticketed.
I don't know. What I want to know is why the attorney dropped the case. And either the attorney dropped the case because there was a settlement, the attorney dropped the case because he said, listen, there really is no liability here, so I'm not going to waste any more of my time. I don't know what the reason is, but I do know that her medical bills had to be in the tens of thousands of dollars if she's had surgery. And if his insurance company paid for those medical bills, they didn't pay for those medical bills unless you signed a settlement, which I want to see.
I don't have a copy of.
Great. We're going to go get it, and we'll come back. Thank you.
Judges recall case number 400 in the matter of Green versus Smith. Parties are reminded.
Understanding that you do not have a settlement with the insurance company because Mr. Smith's insurance company did not pay the medical bills. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid the medical bills?
Medicaid.
Now I go back to my original question. Your attorney that you originally hired 5 months later decided to drop the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he or she explain why?
Not really. The lawyers that we had, they didn't communicate with us the entire
But they
6
dropped
months.
the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you have a police report?
I couldn't locate it. I just have the insurance, copy of my insurance.
Is there currently a claim pending by the plaintiffs against your insurance company?
They ended up dropping me from my insurance company.
Can I see that letter?
I don't have the letter stating that they dropped me, but as of August, they told me since I had gotten to the accident of hitting her, they had no choice but to drop me from my plan.
May I see the letter from the insurance company canceling your insurance?
This is it right here. This showing that it's effective until, I think that was up until August or so.
I want to see what other information you have from your insurance company. I see that this says that it's effective but I want to know that it was still in effect in April.
Okay.
It says effective 2/9/16. I want to know that it was in effect in April, which means that you paid your premiums and they hadn't dropped you.
I don't believe I have the copy showing that I paid the April bill.
Mr. Smith, if I call the insurance company, and don't waste my time because, you know, I'm busy and I get cranky. If I call the insurance company, will they tell me that your policy had lapsed in April?
No, ma'am.
They will tell me that it was in effect at the time of this accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure.
Did you contact his insurance company?
No, ma'am.
Who did?
The lawyers.
And?
They did not return information for that case, so I pursued how I could obtain money through.
So you don't know?
Person.
Got it. What?
So my insurance company did come out, and they did question everybody at the scene after he filed a claim against me, as far as the families that were out there that day. And asked for that probably could have helped him in his case, or probably could have helped me in my case. But the insurance company came out there, but everybody that was out there said they didn't see anything.
Listen to me. I just want to find out whether your policy was in effect.
Gotcha.
Were you not driving your car?
The car that I was driving that day was given to me by my dad. I had just finished up medical school, so I wasn't.
So this you just showed me is insurance that's owned by Valerie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, you want to tell me what the story is here so that I can simplify it for myself?
I had a previous car that went out probably a month ahead of that time.
And
I had to still make it back and forth to school, and I was almost on the merge of finishing. So my dad, instead of going out buying a new car, they just gave me the old car, and she got a new car.
okay.
And the insurance plan...
Were you supposed to change the insurance to your name?
I wasn't supposed to change the insurance into my name until August. She gave me until the insurance was over with, until August, which in come August, I was have to renew under my own insurance plan. But it ended up happening before August.
Were you named insured on that policy?
No.
I knew that something wasn't right.
Yes.
Okay. So while there may have been insurance on the car, if your stepmother was driving the car, you were never added as another driver. And you had taken this car to finish school?
Yes, I was just driving it back and forth to school.
Okay.
Journey.
Can you come up here? Have a couple of questions for you. Have a seat, Jenny. You're 7?
Yes.
You remember the day of this accident, right?
Yes.
You were going across to visit. Do you remember running out the street?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
I looked both ways, and then I get hit.
What you gotta say? I understand why your attorney dropped the case. He dropped the case probably because the insurance probably didn't cover the defendant as a driver of the car. That's a possibility. It also is a possibility, Mr. and Mrs. Green, that they, like the attorneys, said, you know what, this was a terrible accident and that the defendant wasn't speeding. So in order to find in your favor, I have to find that he was negligent. Do you understand? It's not just because an accident happened that somebody is financially liable. Somebody is financially liable if they actually are at fault. Now, you didn't see the accident.
Oh, man.
Who do you think is at fault?
I believe he is.
And what about you and your wife?
I believe we share some of the blame.
That's true. That's part of what we call responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
So you and the defendant share some of the responsibility because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, which is watch your child. She's too young to be crossing the street without somebody shepherding her across the street. Next part of it is, what could Mr. Smith have done to avoid the accident? He wasn't speeding. He was going very slowly because if he wasn't, she would have been dead. Right? There's no question about that. She's a little girl. She had little bones, and she fractured a bone. Who do you think is responsible for her pain and suffering if you're partially responsible for her injury?
Well, I believe him due to the fact that there were multiple adults outside at the scene. There were numerous children outside, and although I was not physically at the accident, she was outside with her friend's mother and father who were up on the porch.
Then they didn't watch her carefully enough?
Yes, they watched her.
No, they didn't watch her carefully enough. Gotten hit by a non-speeding car. Tell you, what you're suing him for is for $5,000. And part of that is for your lost wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, since you're responsible as a parent for this accident, for not taking care of your daughter, you don't get lost wages. Your responsibility is to watch your child. So your lawsuit for your lost wages and taking care of your daughter is dismissed. The next part of your offering for your daughter. And for that, you have to bear at least part of the responsibility because you're her parents. She darted out between the cars. And how am I supposed to find him guilty of negligence? There was an investigation. He was not cited by the police. Was he not paying careful enough attention? The only thing that you said to me, Mr. Smith, that suggests to me that your eyes were deflected for a moment is you said to me at some point right before the impact with Journey, you looked over and waved hi to a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was honest. So for that split second, you took your eyes off the road.
Yes, ma'am.
So for that, certainly not $5,000 worth of responsibility because the majority of that belongs to you. Anyway, I'm not awarding you $5,000 as you requested, but I think that even Mr. Smith, I think he understands that he does bear some responsibility. But I believe that the majority of responsibility for protecting Journey is yours because you're her parents. And you didn't do that on the 4th of April. I'm awarding you $1,000 for her pain and suffering, but that's for her, not for you. Anyway, she's a cute little girl. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. We're done.
occupiers have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Ms. Borman, it is your claim that the defendant, who was the girlfriend of former roommate of yours, filed false charges of assault against you. As a result of that, you had to attend hearings, you had lost wages, you wanted to compensate you. The charges were eventually dropped. Ms. Johnson says that serious physical injury, including 68 stitches, the fact that ultimately the case was dismissed because it dragged on for so long, does not mitigate the fact that she was in fact assaulted by you, and she is counterclaiming. When and where did this alleged assault take place?
Eric's house in North Carolina on
Who's
August
Eric?
11th. That's my boyfriend's roommate in North Carolina.
Who was present?
Eric, Chris, me, and Nicole.
When was it?
August 11th of 2007.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
I came home from work. About 10 minutes after I got home, Nicole started screaming at me. She said
This
that...
is Nicole?
Yes. She said that I was having relations with her boyfriend, and it wasn't later. She attacked me. She was very belligerent drunk. I did not want to fight her. I did not want to hurt her.
Tell me what you mean when you say she attacked you.
I mean, she came at me like this.
Okay,
So,
threatening you.
Yeah. So I stepped out of the way, and I put her in a headlock, and she was still trying to hit me. So I brought her to the ground, and as I did that, she knocked a half-gallon glass bottle onto the floor. And as she was on the floor, she kept trying to kick me and hit me, and she caught her legs up in the glass. When I saw that she was hurt, I stood up and I said, "Let's stay there. You know, we need to call an ambulance." She stood up and started running through the house. She ran through the living room to the neighbor's house, back inside, through the living room again, through the kitchen where she was slipping on the linoleum. Finally, she, I don't know, just collapsed, and that's when her mom came.
You had been at work that day? Mm-hmm. Did you remember what day of the week it was?
It was a Saturday, I think.
What kind of work did you do?
Applebee's, I was a server.
What was your shift that day? Do you remember?
I actually worked a double that day. I worked all day till, I think I got there at 10:30 or 11 when I got home.
And did you come straight home from...
No, I stopped and got a camera at Rite Aid because it was like my last night there because I was going back to Michigan for school.
So you picked up a disposable camera?
Yes.
Other than that, you made no stops?
No.
And you came home alone?
Yes.
And there were 3 people in the house when you came home?
Yes.
Go.
That is a little different than my story.
Just a second. 2007.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me where you were during the day.
Okay, I was there all day with my fiance, Eric. We were cleaning. I believe we had went out to eat that morning. And that afternoon, we were grilling out while Nikki was at work.
Chris was also there?
Yes.
How much drinking was going on in the evening?
A bit.
When you say a bit, how much alcohol, if you recall, did you consume?
I consumed approximately 6 drinks.
All right, so that's a lot for a little girl.
Yes.
So you were pretty tipsy.
Yes, I was.
Go ahead.
Okay, Nikki did come home from work. I was upset with Eric, and Chris was upset with Nikki.
Why were you upset with Eric?
We were just having our normal little arguments. It had nothing to do with anyone else. I was upstairs in my room. Chris was upstairs in his, and I come downstairs, and Nikki and Eric were mingling in the kitchen. So I did ask her, in fact, you know, why she was downstairs with my boyfriend and why they were so close.
Where should she be?
With her boyfriend.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, when I asked her that, then that's when she had come after me with the bottle. I have pictures. She got me in the forehead with the bottle, and that's when it broke. And also, I received a cut on my finger where I was trying to block it.
I'd like to see a picture of your forehead. Report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the medical report.
Yes, ma'am. There's all the medical reports.
Okay. First thing we look at is the emergency triage, which indicates nothing on your head.
Okay.
The only thing it indicates is multiple cuts on hands, feet, legs, buttocks, right ankle, and cut on first digit of right hand. Nothing on your head.
Yes, ma'am. A couple of
Okay.
visits later, it shows
What?
a contusion on my head, or a concussion.
Looking. On the 12th of August, is that the first time that you had a seizure?
I had the first seizure that I had was the night of receiving the stitches within the hospital.
Doesn't say that. This is a seizure. I'm asking you before August 11th. Did you ever have
I'd
a
never
seizure?
had a seizure.
Patient fell, had a seizure witnessed by her sister. Patient lying face down.
You'll have to push the button up.
Could you show me? Can't see it. And is there a date on that?
8/14/07. Is this in August?
My mother's phone was going, she was trading it in for a new one, so she went and did it in so we could save the evidence. That's why the date's not the same.
The only evidence that I have is that these pictures were taken 2 days after the incident. Is that right?
When my mother...
Did you take these pictures 2 days after the incident?
Yes.
That's either yes or no.
Yes.
Well, she fell on her face in the hospital, and she had blood all over her face. The first day that she was admitted to the hospital... Nonsense. First day she was admitted to the hospital noticed absolutely nothing on her forehead. The only thing they noticed were multiple cuts on her hands and legs. Then on the 12th, she had a seizure, and she fell on her face, and there was blood all over her face. And the 14th, you took these pictures. Is that right?
Yes.
Stand up. You're Chris?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you present in the home on the 11th of August?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
As Nikki said, she came.
How much alcohol had you consumed?
I'm going to say that I don't actually know the exact amount. I was intoxicated,
And what about her? Was she intoxicated?
clearly. And I'd also like to mention that the cops had to come for a separate incident regarding her and Eric earlier in that night.
Really?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
What do you mean they had to come for an additional...
It was for an argument separate than anything, to deal with anybody else. It was just him and I.
Decades and decades older than you are. I've never had the police respond to my home over an argument. You had police come to your house over an argument?
No.
Of course not. Your daughter has an alcohol problem, or she did on the 11th of August. Now, when did you go to the police and file the report against her and ask that she be arrested?
After leaving the hospital,
Why?
because she hurt me.
No, she didn't. You hurt yourself. You were drunk as a skunk. You were drunk as a skunk. You picked a fight with her. She was coming home from work. She wasn't drunk. You acted irrationally. It was the second time the police came to your house that night. But now you leave the hospital and now you're sober. She did what?
I was called to come get her. I was called to come get her.
That's what I see.
She had been laying, when I got there, she was laying in front of their porch. Nobody was attending to her. She was covered in blood. She was bleeding on dried blood, which tells me she had been laying there for a while. I pulled up to the door. They take her into the kitchen. She's laying in the kitchen floor. I'm hysterical. My daughter, I didn't even recognize her. I'm like, what are you doing with my daughter? They have her in the kitchen.
Just a second. So did you find out? Just a second. Did you find? You're hysterical. Your daughter is drunk and bleeding.
She's unconscious.
Madam, she's unconscious because she was drunk. I have the medical records. She's unconscious because she was drunk.
I know.
Okay. She was working all day. Your daughter and her boyfriend were drinking and fighting all evening. It culminated when she came into a room and found her boyfriend in the kitchen, standing. Not in any compromising position, but standing, talking. She didn't like they were standing so close. So she picked a fight. She wasn't going to be assaulted. Bottle broke, and she's running all over the place because she's cuckoo from alcohol and cuts herself.
They did not call 911. I did.
Who called you?
The fiance.
All right. Just for giggles, what did Eric say to you when he called?
I'm tired of fooling with her.
I'm tired of fooling with her. So he was drunk too?
I'm assuming.
Oh, you're assuming. Okay. So you came over?
Yes.
Good. So somebody called you?
But they didn't call 911. They didn't get medical attention. She'd laid there I don't know how long. Then they were moving her when I got there. Then they moved her to the car. They finally decided, oh, I'm going to take her and take her to the hospital.
Listen, my dear, the only sober one there was her. The only sober one was everybody else was drunk. Your daughter, her fiance, and Chris. They're all drunk. Who do you want to make a rational judgment? The one that she was trying to attack? I'm asking you a question. Who do you want to make a rational judgment? Your daughter got drunk with two men. She started an altercation with this young lady who came home from work. She got bloody, that's for sure. Who do you want to make a rational judgment? Who?
Well, I guess none of the rest of them could.
But at least somebody called you. The fiancé called you. So I assume you weren't drunk and you came over and you made a rational judgment. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I...
I also have the police report.
I'm dealing with your counterclaim right away. Your counterclaim for assault is dismissed.
There's all that.
If you have $5,000 worth of medical bills, pay them yourself. It should be a very sobering experience. You ultimately dismissed this case. Voluntary dismissal. That would be by you. Tell me why you dismissed the case.
Because it was being continued so much, it was just too much to handle every time that we walked into the courtroom. It was just redoing it over and over again.
Okay. I believe she had no right to file this assault charge against you. I agree with you that she had no right to file this assault charge against you. She precipitated the argument. She was drunk. She caused her... How old are you?
28.
Yeah. Where are you living now?
With my mother.
Good idea. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all. Ms. Eichhorn, period of time, it is your claim that she owes you money for rent, that she took property that didn't belong to you, and she damaged some property.
Yes.
The defendant says that she's fully paid in her rent, that she took nothing, and she damaged nothing. When did she start to be your roommate?
On the 1st of January.
Did she move in with you?
Yes.
And what was supposed to be your rent?
$700.
Were you friends? Had you known each other?
Briefly, we had met the night before.
The night before?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me the story.
We met at a party, and we hit it off, and she mentioned that she no longer had a place to stay, that her rent was up, had a room.
How did you know she had a room?
As she said, we were there for a party, and I said that I didn't have any place to stay, and she mentioned that she had a room available, and I said I can move in the next day. So.
Well, what was wrong with the place you were staying?
Just the lease was up, so I was done.
And you waited till the last minute?
I had been looking for a place. I was going to live with my grandparents if there was nothing else to do, because I wanted to be closer to school.
Okay, so you moved in, the rent was $700 a month.
Yes.
Who was supposed to pay the rent?
I was.
Good. Did you pay rent?
The thing is she knew I did not have a job at the time.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay. I did not have a job at the time, and I informed her of this, and she's had a job, and I had a stable living conditions because I was not able to pay rent at the time, and I did inform her of that.
You mean you just met somebody on December 31st, and the person that you just met said to you, don't worry about it. When you get a job, you can pay rent.
Right. No. She told me that she was going to school at St. Kate's and informed me that she was going to be paying with her student loans and financial aid for the rent because there's enough money to pay for both schooling and rent.
So, rent for January was $700, which you didn't pay.
Correct.
February, did you pay rent?
No.
Why not?
There was trouble in February. That's when a lot of the problems started. I was not able to get my student loan money because it wasn't available at that time, and she did know that.
So you owe her for February's rent, $700. March, did you pay?
Out at the end of March. And
did you pay March's rent?
No. Actually, yes, I did. I'm sorry. I did pay March. My grandparents gave her a $700 check for March.
I received a check stating January rent for 2008, and I got that at the end of February.
She lived there a total of 3 months, January, February, and March.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you got one check for $700?
Yes.
So she owes you $1,400 in rent?
Plus April rent, because if I give you the lease, it states that the lease goes through April 31st, and she didn't leave until April 2nd.
April 31st.
She had kicked me out and changed the locks March 31st.
She doesn't owe you for April.
Can I show you the lease?
It says that she's supposed to be there until April 31st is invalid. Did you change the locks in the apartment?
I did on the 2nd of April after she had taken her stuff out because she never turned in all the keys.
She owes you for 2 months' rent, period. What else?
The lease states that she needs to leave the apartment in the condition in which she finds it, and because she did not, she left quite a bit of a mess. I had to spend money cleaning, steam cleaning, fixing stains and marks in the walls, and furniture and bathroom. There's gum and broken.
Well, I'd like to see the condition before and after, please.
This is pictures of after I was trying to clean.
Well,
like I tried to get the stains. Some pictures of before, of furniture that she used and stuff.
I'd like to mention that she had a dog. She had 2 dogs, actually, and they were not very well potty trained whatsoever. And they left many of stains in my room and among the house.
They mainly stayed in my room locked up unless I was home.
Now, listen,
so
I can't tell which is which. She owes you $1,400 in rent. What else?
Damages and charges came to a total of...
She owes you $1,400 in rent. No damages. What else?
No damages?
No damages. What else?
Then stolen property would be the last part of it.
Tell me about stolen property.
While she was living there, she would use basic items you shouldn't technically share.
You know how many years of postgraduate education I have?
Sorry.
You think I'm going to listen to soap and shampoo and eyeliner
it was more,
and mascara and dishwashing detergent and food that she ate of yours in the refrigerator?
Clothing.
That's not going to happen. She owes you $1,400 in rent. What else?
Other than that, it was just me feeling threatened by her most of the time.
Well, then
and that's why she was evicted.
Listen to me very carefully. You're supposed to use good judgment. Who owns this apartment?
My parents and I.
Well, if your parents and you own the apartment, then your parents and you should have a cooperative effort to get somebody as a roommate and a tenant in their property that they know more than 12 hours, who was waiting until New Year's Eve to find a place to live.
I didn't know she was waiting that long.
She said, I have no place to live after tomorrow.
I didn't know
That's
she
what
wasn't
she said.
searching.
She just said she met you December 31st, New Year's Eve, and she had no place to live. Could I come and move into your apartment? You know nothing about her. Absolutely nothing. You don't know whether she's a felon. You don't know whether she's a drug addict. You don't know anything about her. And now you're eating your food and using your underwear. She owes you $1,400 in rent.
What
Judgment
about
for
the
the plaintiff
deposit?
for the
She
amount
never
of $1,400. That's what she owes you. Stop being a baby. That's all.
Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Beeson, the defendant is your former husband.
Correct.
And while you were still married, you bought a car.
Yes.
And he was the primary on the loan, and you were the co-signer? Or was it a jointly held?
It was a joint thing.
That's not true.
She is the primary owner. I'm the secondary owner on the car.
What does the title say?
The title says that
Sandra Spring or Calvin Spring.
she is the primary owner.
No, that's not right, sir. I mean, I know that you keep saying it. It really, actually, it doesn't make any difference to me because while you were married, you jointly bought a car. Then you got divorced. And I assume you didn't make arrangements in the divorce to deal with the car.
We bought the car at the very end of our marriage.
I don't care. I don't care. First of all, that's not what you say in the papers. You bought the car while you were still married. You jointly own the car. You jointly own the loan on the car. He took the car. In what month and year did you take the car, sir?
I took the car in
November of 2013.
Okay. And for a long time, you made the payments on the car.
That is correct.
And then you decided you didn't want this car anymore. When was the car purchased? In what year?
October of 2013.
So now we're 3 years later, 2.5 years later, and you decide you don't want the car anymore.
That is correct.
So what did you do with it?
I tried to trade it in. I asked her numerous times to meet me because we both have to sign it. She was very evasive.
Well, explain me, evasive is a conclusion. You contacted her.
I contacted her
and you
numerous
said,
times. I don't know if I needed a signature from her or not. So I looked into that. So, of course, she did as well. So I needed a signature. And from there, I contacted her. She did not respond to my emails.
I have emails to prove.
I have emails. I contacted, no response whatsoever. I was at CarMax one day at the dealership. I asked her, can you meet me? Can you meet me? No response until later after I left CarMax.
Well, let me ask you a question. You wanted to trade the car in for what?
A newer car.
You wanted a new, listen to me. You wanted a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you wanted to use the car that you were paying for. She didn't put...
Her parents did.
Her parents did, so she had money invested in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I was like $800.
How much?
$800.
And you took the car a month after it was purchased.
About a month, maybe a little bit later.
It says a month right here. October to November is a month. You know, math is not my strong suit. So a month later, you took the car and were making payments on the car for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you wanted it. Then you didn't want it anymore. Now, when you took the car, Mr. Spring, and left, did you give her the $800 back?
No, ma'am.
Why not? You were driving the car for how many years?
3 years.
So you were driving the car. It was your price. She had $800 in the car. Why didn't you give her the $800 back?
Well, I was planning to pay her back if I would have kept the car. But
Just a second. You did keep the car for 3 years.
I kept it for 3 years.
And depreciated it. Listen, look at my mouth. And depreciated it over the 3 years. So why didn't you give her the $800 back?
I was going
Because you didn't feel like it.
No, that's not correct.
Well, were you working?
I was working.
Then why didn't you give her the $800 back?
Because, number one, I was going to pay her parents back. I wasn't going to pay her.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. When did you pay her parents back?
I didn't pay her, but I did pay her some payments, but not on the car.
I'm not talking about on... I'm talking about... If you owed her other money, I'm not interested.
Oh, no, I didn't make any payments. It wasn't that I didn't want to, is that I didn't make any payments on the car.
Okay. Now, you took the car back?
I got home from work on January 2nd. The keys were in my mailbox with a note, handwritten note from him saying that he got a new car, never wanted this to begin with, and no longer wanted the responsibility.
Yeah, he's not a nice man. So you got out fast and easy from this short-term marriage?
Yes, 7 months.
7 months, enough. I know him for 3 minutes. I don't like him.
Yes.
He's a hustler.
Yes.
And spoiled and selfish. How dare you fuss on it? You giving it back to her and say, here's this piece of garbage now that I've been driving around for 3 years. It's no longer worth what I paid for it. I can't do anything with it. I want a new car. I didn't give you back the money that you put into the car 4 weeks before I took off. And here are the keys. I'm done.
No, that's not true.
Well, have you been making payments on the car, sir?
That's not true.
Have you been making payments?
I have been making payments on the car. That is true.
Since you dropped it off, listen to my mouth, with both your ears. After you dropped the car off and left the keys in the mailbox, did you make another payment on the car?
No, I did not. However, I did offer to help her with the payments.
He's an idiot. You're right, he's an idiot. You sold the car?
Yes, because I have a vehicle of my own. I couldn't afford to take on another car payment plus insurance, and I just wanted out of it. So I sold it to CarMax they bought it for $2,000, but the loan on it was still $3,547. So I had to pay $1,547 out of pocket just to be rid of it.
Okay, that's what you're going to get. How much did you pay on the loan?
$1,547, and then I had to pay all the repairs, smog, just to even get it registered.
I don't care. $1,547 is what she had to pay, sir, just out of pocket car.
It wasn't my car. It was our car.
No, sir. You used that car as a primary source of transportation, and you actually paid on the car for 3 years.
That is true.
And you've actually paid on the car.
That is
while
true.
No, don't interrupt me. I didn't take a breath. Don't interrupt me until you hear a breath. When you decided, like a spoiled child, that you had a guy, I want a new car. I don't want this old car anymore. This old car is 3 years old, and if I dump it on her doorstep, she'll have to make up the difference because I'm saying I don't want the responsibility anymore. Thank God you had no children with him. Yes. You have children?
I do.
They live with you?
They're in college.
When was the last time they lived with you?
When they was, I do. I support them.
Do you?
Yes.
I wonder. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Big time. Judge for the plaintiff for the amount of $15,447.
What about the registration
We're done.
and all of that?
Actually, I'm going to explain why you were done. You're lucky you got $15,447. Only because what he did was really disgusting, dropping off the car. But if you're married, this gets taken care of in the judgment of divorce. You know that.
Okay.
And nobody, judges, don't usually get involved with people who do things while they're married, then they get divorced, and they say, well, we'll handle this later. When you get divorced, you're divorced with every car, loans, debts, everything. But he's so scuzzy, and what he did was so despicable, just dropping it off because he wanted new wheels, that I'm going to give you the difference in what the loan payout was and what you sold the car for. Got it?
Got it.
Perfect. To the car. Raise your paw.
I had
You
title
do.
to the car.
Let me see it.
I don't have the car any longer, Your Honor.
I just want to know who has the title.
I said I had the title.
What did you do with it?
I donated the car.
You did?
Yes.
You didn't tell me that in here. You want to tell me why you didn't tell me that in your answer? Is not an answer. Who did you donate the car to, Mr. Goodson?
I donated it to a family.
Name of the family.
Cornell.
Did you write it off on your taxes?
No, I didn't file any taxes for the year, yeah.
So you don't mean you don't? You gave it away?
Yes.
Now, these must have been people that you were very fond of.
Yes.
So let me know their first name, their last name.
Cornell.
And where does Mr. Cornell live?
He lives in Newark, New Jersey.
So if you know him well enough to donate a car to him for no money, a car that you could have sold for just a little bit of money even.
No, the car wasn't in a condition to be sold, Your Honor.
Well, what would Mr. Cornell want with a car that wasn't in a condition to be sold?
He wanted the project.
He wanted a project to work on.
Right.
So he has a house.
Yes.
And he has enough space in the house to do the work on the car?
Yes.
What's his phone number?
I would have to access my phone to give it to you.
Bird, just watch him on the phone, would you? Make sure he doesn't do anything like that texting stuff or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Number's 929.
Is that the only number you have for Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Great. Now you turn the phone off. Is this Mr. Cornell? Mr. Cornell, my name is Judge Judy Shineland. Do you know who I am? Okay, good. Can I ask you a couple of questions, sir? Great. I want you to tell me about this car. How much did you pay him for it? Was it drivable at the time that you gave him the $500 in cash? Did he sign the title over to you for... And did you register the car in your name? Okay, great. Thanks, Emil. Appreciate it. You've been wonderful. Bye. All right, so now that I have the end of this case, we're going to work our way backwards, because I have to do something to keep myself amused after a very long time here doing these cases, so I start from the end, and then we go back to the beginning. So, I don't know what your relationship with him was. I don't care. He sold you a Jeep, $1,000. You paid him the $1,000. He doesn't deny that he got the $1,000 from you, but this is what he said happened. You never registered the car in your name, and he kept getting notices that he was getting tickets on the car because the car was still in his name. So he got tickets on the car, then it got impounded. He went and got the car out of the impound, and then, according to Cornell, you sold him the car for $500, and you signed the title over to him. That's what Mr. Cornell says. Duh. Now you're going to tell me why you didn't put the car in your name. Look at me. Do you understand how foolish she looks right now? Yeah. You don't want to be there. I want you to tell me why you didn't put the car in your name.
Register the car in my name.
Well, Mr. Cornell got the title.
When I first asked the defendant for the title, he said that he had to go to DMV and get a new title. Then he said he was waiting for it to mail. A few weeks later, I asked him again. He said I should get insurance in my name. I said, why would I get insurance in my name without registration?
Why didn't you just ask him for your money back?
I did ask him for the money back. He said he would give me $500 by December, the beginning of December. However, that never happened.
But Mr. Cornell gave you $500.
Donna, if she agreed to take
Mr.
the
Cornell
title,
gave you $500, so your car, and so far you've got $1,500 for your car. You're a very good businessman for somebody who doesn't file taxes.
That's not the case, Donna.
You got $1,000 from her on a car that you wanted $1,000 for. You got $500 from Mr. Cornell. So now you have
$500 at one point from her, and then I got another $500 approximately 7 weeks later. It wasn't all at one time.
I don't care if it's all at one time or not. You got from her $1,000.
This is the reason why she never took the title, because she didn't have all the money to pay me.
Listen, how many months did you drive the car?
7.
7 months. Mm-hmm. How much do you think the cheapest car you could rent for 7 months?
$9 a day.
If somebody said to you, I will let you drive a car for $75 a month, would you think that was a bargain?
Yeah.
Great. So now you drove the car for 7 months, right? Times $75 equals $525. You don't have the car anymore.
No.
But you had the use of the car. Whose ever story, I believe, because he took the car back. Whose ever story, he got the car out of impound. You got it out of impound, is that right, sir?
That's not how he got the car, Your Honor.
How did he get the car?
He got the car out of impound. I paid him for the car to get out of impound, which I have in my receipts here. And I got the car back.
That's because
I paid every ticket.
The tickets were received while the car was in his name in your possession.
And I transferred the tickets out of his name into my name through the court systems, which I have here, where I settled the tickets in the court systems of New Jersey. And I also have the proof of that here as well.
Not interested.
So on November 21st, after he got the car from impound on November 2nd.
And the car was impounded because of something happened while it was in your possession. Not in his possession, your possession.
It was parked.
I don't care. It was in your possession.
Okay. So I gave him the money.
Well, as you should.
Gave me the car back, but on November 21st, he came and took the car without my knowledge in the middle of the night.
That's why we're here. I want you to think of it as you rented a car for 7 months at $75 a month, which means that if you paid him $1,000, $475 is left over. Now,
but I didn't rent a car. I bought a car.
Well, no, you didn't, because the car now belongs to Mr. Cornell. He didn't get double. Listen to me. He's not going to get double paid for the car. He's going to get the original $1,000. Well, actually a little bit more. $500 he got from Mr. Cornell. Maybe. He certainly didn't donate it to Mr. Cornell. But you used the car and drove around with it, and I don't know what the hustle was between the two of you, and I really don't care. But you can't drive around somebody else's property, somebody else's name, for 7 months without registering it?
That's why I asked for the title.
Yeah, then you go to DMV and say, here's my bill of sale. I bought this car. He lost the title. He doesn't have the title. You do something. You don't do nothing. Aside from the fact that he says that he had the insurance in his name and you were paying him monthly for the insurance. Is that right?
Correct.
Here's someplace, and it's the end of the day, and I'm not interested in where the hustle is. All I know is you rented a car for 7 months at $75 a month. So I'm entering a judgment for you in the amount of $475.
However, I just bought a battery at the end of the month.
Don't listen to me. I don't care.
So my counterclaim, though.
You want me to even entertain your counterclaim? You just lied to me. You just lied to me.
There's still tickets that she didn't pay me for here.
You just lied to me.
I lied to you.
Yeah. You told me you donated the car to Mr. Cornell.
I did donate the car.
It's not what Mr. Cornell said.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, this is case number 18 on the calendar in the amount of Gelfand versus Bagdasian.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Ms. Gelfand, which of these is your children who was allegedly shot in the eye with a BB?
Bo, in the pink and green shirt.
When were you shot in the...
I believe it was November 29th, 2008.
Where?
In the residence of the Bagdasians.
That would be you. Tell me what happened.
So we stayed there for roughly about 7 hours.
Who stayed there?
My brother and Brett. My father dropped us off about 10 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yes.
And who were you there to visit?
Alan and Eileen.
They're friends of yours from school?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So what happened was we were playing on the computer and cards and stuff like that. So what happened was
Alan brought out a BB gun, and I was very interested in it. So then what happened?
Just a second, please. Who bought you the BB gun?
My father.
When?
About 6 months ago.
6 months before this happened. Don't help him. If I wanted to ask you the question, I would have asked you the question. 6 months ago. For any special occasion?
No, not really.
And where do you keep it?
I keep it in my underwear drawer.
What do you do with it?
My dad makes me a little target, and I shoot at it.
Where?
In the living room.
In the living room?
Yeah.
You don't have any breakable things in your living room?
No, we move everything away.
Oh, when you shoot it, you move everything away because you don't want anything to break?
Correct.
Because if...
Actually, it's not that strong. It'll just bounce off glass.
Then what do you move everything away for?
We move it away just in case to make tip over.
Right! You move it away to be on the safe side.
Exactly.
Of course, exactly. Did you show Bo the BB gun?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you want to tell me what happened when Alan took out the BB gun?
Well, first I was very interested in it.
I don't care.
All right. And I wanted to shoot at it. And I wanted to shoot...
Not shoot at it. You wanted to shoot it.
Correct. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
So we went inside like a carport, you could call it, and we started shooting. And what happened was about 30 minutes later, we came upstairs and we had games, and I believe we forgot about the BB gun for a while until we came back.
I don't know what anybody else forgot. When you were playing the games, where was the BB gun?
I'm not sure.
After you went to the carport and shot the BB gun, where was it?
That didn't happen.
Didn't happen?
No, I only play with my BB gun in front of my dad.
Did you take the BB gun downstairs in the carport?
Yeah, it was with cars, so I believe it was a garage or a carport.
Who went with you?
Just Brett and Alan and myself.
Okay. Got it?
Yeah.
Good. And then what happened?
My father, after about roughly 2 hours, and we
don't get confused now.
Well,
just
it was
make
a long
sure
time ago.
if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Yes.
Got it?
Yes.
Because I'm here to trip you up. That's my job. Because somebody's not going to tell me the truth, and I have to figure out who it is.
Yes.
So far, he's on the downside with no garage, because he only plays with his BB gun in front of his father. And he and I know that that's not true.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
But
So-
don't get confused now, Bo.
Sorry about that. So what happened was my father went to pick us up, and he was going to a UCLA game.
I don't care what he was going to do.
All right. So I wanted to get a BB gun just like Alan, and I showed the BB gun to my father, and he said, no, there's no way.
Where did you get it to show it to your father? Where did you get it from?
His underwear drawer.
So you went and retrieved it from his underwear drawer to show it to your father?
Yes.
Did you have his permission to do that?
I believe not.
Okay, go ahead.
So he said, there's absolutely no way you can get one.
That's what your father said. Very
Yes.
intelligent man.
So I said, okay. And then what happened was the gun was on the desk, and Alan and Eileen went back computer. Alan was playing football with Brett, and Alan wanted me to go to play the video game with them. And I said, no, it's okay. I'm just going to stay here. So then he went with Brett into the other room, and I just sat there, and then I was bored. So I said, can I see the gun? She said...
How did the gun get back into his room?
Well, when I took it out of the chest drawer, I think I put it back on the desk.
Which was in his room?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So then what happened was, when she took away the gun, Eileen...
You mean Eileen?
Yes. It was still in her hand, and on the other hand, she was on the computer. So then, I think she said along the lines of, if you touch the computer, I'll shoot you, but she wasn't really going to shoot. Up on some baby pictures on the wall, and all of a sudden I fell down on the floor. My eye was stinging, and at that point, I believe I was shot in the eye.
What do you mean you believe you were shot in the eye?
Well, I was shot in the eye.
When for the first time did you tell an adult that you were shot in the eye?
Not after my father drove us back to his condo, and then about an hour later, I decided to tell him.
Now, you sit down. Eileen, tell me what happened with the gun. You were at the computer.
Yes, I was playing on the computer, and he came into the room, and I was listening to music, so I didn't hear what he was doing, but he usually just looks around. And all of a sudden, I saw him from the corner of my eye sneaking closer to me, and then he put the gun on my cheek, and then he said, don't move or else I'll shoot you. And I knew he was joking. But then I said to him, it's on safety, isn't it? And he's like, no, it's not on safety. I'm like, yeah, it is, because I didn't believe he would do that. And then he's like, no, really, it's not on safety. So I grab the gun, and then I move it, and then he tries to pull it away, and then it shoots, and then I guess it like cascaded off my brother's desk, which is next to my desk, and then hit his eye. And then the next second, he was on the ground holding his eye.
When your father bought you this BB gun, who gave you lessons on safety?
Well, on
I just knew that I have to wear goggles when I play with them, and I did. I wore goggles whenever I play with them.
Who explained how it worked to you?
My dad told me.
Your dad, and he showed you about the safety?
I read the box for it, and he said don't point it at anybody.
Did he explain the safety to you?
Yeah.
Who told you when you're wearing goggles?
My dad.
So your father gave you lessons on safety?
Yeah.
And he gave you lessons on safety because if you use this gun inappropriately,
someone could get hurt.
Someone can get hurt, like he did. So there's no question that in some measure they are responsible. Your problem is his father was there, and his father saw the BB gun in his possession, and he wasn't wearing goggles, and he didn't understand what the gun was about, and his father left him there with the gun. You think that therefore there is some responsibility on his father's part and your part? I mean, you are, I assume, either a unit or you're both parents.
Right, exactly.
And that's the parent who was in charge of him on that day. Now, you want to explain to me why you think you bear no responsibility?
I didn't say we are not responsible. First night, about 11, Mr. Shane called us and told our story. The next day, about noon, we called. There were nobody home. It was Sunday. He left message on answering machine. Nothing happened until late night, the same about 11:30. Mr. Shane called again. And he said a lot of, accusing a lot, like you have illegal gun, you have this, you have that.
Yeah,
and
he left there. Right.
And he says, at least pay half of the bill. And before I say yes or no anything, he said, by the way, I don't want, they are dangerous. I said, don't do that. I said, don't do that, because they go to the same school for 7 years, actually 8 years, 9 years, since kindergarten. You don't do that to your kids.
Your father was a very good thing he didn't come here.
I said, you're going to hurt them. They're friends.
I would have used him as a Swiffer.
And I said, wait for a few days, see what's going to happen, then let us know. Then we wait. After a few months, we received the other
Summons.
notice from court.
Summons. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Gelfand.
Yes, Your Honor.
You had medical bills?
Yes, I do.
Just tell me what the medical bills were, please.
My out-of-pocket was $1,080.
I'd like to see them, please.
67. That was including yesterday's specialist.
What was wrong with his eye?
He had vitreous hemorrhaging in the eye.
That's why you wear goggles.
I have a picture of his eyes, too.
I'd like to see it. Ms. Gelfand, did you ask your husband why he didn't tell your son, put that gun away?
He told me that he told Bo to put it down.
Yeah.
And he thought the Bo was going to put it down. And Bo obviously didn't. He went into the bedroom and continued to play with it, with Eileen.
Well, then your former husband and your son have some responsibility. Did you put the gun next to Eileen's cheek? Don't give me any baloney, because you see what I did.
Yes, but can I say something?
I don't want to hear you. Oh, okay. Yes, but. I just asked you a question. Did you put it next to her cheek?
Earlier in the day, yes.
I don't care when you did it.
Okay, yes.
And when you put it next to her cheek, was there some discussion of the safety?
Yes.
Did you tell her that the safety was off?
No.
Did you tell her that the safety was on?
No, it was on, and before I attempted to even point it, I made sure it was on.
Why would you point it at somebody?
To fool around.
Got what I mean? Okay. So you're suing these people for $5,000. Let me explain something. That is not going to happen. Pain and suffering, that's what happens. And your son should have acted more responsibly and maybe listened to his father. Then it wouldn't have happened. But for the grace of God, it could have been her cheek that had a hole in it. Right? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's no question in my mind that you have some responsibility, and this $5,000 figure that they are requesting is outrageous, but I think that you should pay their out-of-pocket medical expenses. You allowed this dangerous instrument in your home and allowed it in your home in such a way that your young children had access to it, and they had access to it in such a way that they could play with it with friends. If you want to keep a BB gun in the house, and if that's what you think is necessary to provide your children with amusement, put it in a lockbox and only take it out when you put practice in your living room. I mean, I can think of other more interesting things to do, but at least it has to be maintained in a safe place. So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,080. Thank you very much. That's all. So we're in a relationship. According to what I think I've read in your complaint, the two of you decided to live together and you leased an apartment together. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And I believe your arrangement was, when you moved in, that Mr. Lawson would pay the rent and you would pay the utilities.
Yes.
You moved into the apartment in what month and year?
November of 2007.
And when did you move out?
July of 2008.
And this was a one-year lease?
Yes.
So you moved out before the end of the lease?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lawson stayed in the apartment for a period of time. Is that right?
That's correct.
You decided to move out. Why?
Because that if my grades fell at all, I was to move back home, and he agreed to that with my parents. So
I would see anything about that in your... You moved out, according to this, because your mother says she found out that he was seeing somebody else.
That was later.
Yeah, right.
After suspicions were confirmed, yes.
Right, okay. That's true or not. You left the apartment.
Yes.
Your name was on the lease.
Yes.
And you stopped paying the utilities.
I spoke with the landlord and with the utility
I don't
office.
care what you spoke to. You stopped paying the utilities.
Yes.
That was in violation of your agreement with Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
Yes, because the agreement was that this is the way you were going to split this apartment that the two of you moved into and signed a lease for. You would pay the utilities and he would pay the rent.
Yes.
And you moved out and didn't pay the utilities. There was a bill for utilities that you want him to pay after you moved out. And he says you left him in the apartment with the whole enchilada, the rent and the utilities. And he lost his security deposit because he couldn't afford both the utilities as well as the rent.
Yes.
You don't get your money back.
I have a letter from the landlord where she spoke with him after
Listen to me. I don't read letters from landlords.
It was a letter addressed to me.
I don't read letters from landlords.
Okay.
That's hearsay. You have to understand what responsible behavior is. Responsible behavior is don't lease an apartment with somebody expecting to be able to walk away from the lease, either one, and expect the other to say, well, I have to take over the whole thing. You've got a new girlfriend, I got a new boyfriend, my grades dropped, and expect the other person to pick up the slack. If you're not old enough and mature enough to move out of your parents' home and move into an apartment and accept the responsibilities of signing a lease, you stay home. Let's say you rented this apartment together and the idea was you were to pay half the rent and the utilities and he was to pay half the rent and the utilities. And you moved out, leaving him to pay the whole thing. And he didn't pay it. And the landlord came after both of you. And you were charged for half of the remaining lease. You think you could sue him?
No.
Well, it's the same thing. Your financial arrangement was you would defray the costs of the apartment by you would pay for the rent. He couldn't pay the rent without your utilities, so he moved out. He lost his security deposit because he moved out, which was how much?
$595.
And your utilities were $330. So he actually lost more than you did.
It was after the $180 deposit that was put down on the utilities was taken out. That was the remaining balance.
$180 and $330 is $510, still less than what he suffered as a result of not being able to afford the apartment when you moved out. What do you want? Go ahead.
The landlord contacted Mr. Lawson when she...
Don't tell me what's hearsay.
The lease agreement, though, per the landlord is...
Listen to me. You can't tell me what the lease agreement per the landlord. If you have a lease, I'll read it. But I cannot hear what you say. The landlord told you, the landlord told him, what the landlord wrote to you. That's all hearsay.
So the agreement was when we sat down with them that Amanda could not afford to move out, and he agreed to that. And he agreed to the effect that if she had to move back,
I don't believe it. He suffered. She suffered. They were too young to move into an apartment together.
I agree with that.
He suffered an economic loss. She suffered an economic loss. She's the one who actually moved out, however. That she's not comfortable in an apartment doesn't give her the right to move out. The fact that she's unhappy that he's got a girlfriend that maybe he's sneaking around with and seeing on the side may be a moral reason, but it's not a legal reason for her to give up her legal obligation under the terms of a lease. Do you understand that?
I understand it.
Your case is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. You got it?
Got it.
Goodbye.
It's case number 390 on the calendar, the matter of Anderson versus Groff.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, do you own or manage a trailer park?
We own the trailer park.
How many trailers does it accommodate?
It'll accommodate 19.
Do you live there as well?
No.
Does somebody manage it for you?
Yes.
Who manages it for
Kathy
you?
Murphy.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Do you live there?
Yes.
It is your claim that the defendant, who used to live for you, defamed your business, slandered your business, and caused damage to your property. One of the things you're not suing him for here is rent, despite the fact that you say in your complaint he stopped paying rent 2 years ago.
He signed his trailer over to us for the rent.
When did he do that?
In January of 2015.
And when did he leave the trailer park?
January of 2015.
So when he left the trailer park, he acknowledges he stopped paying rent. When? In what year, sir?
2014.
And am I correct, Mr. Groff, that the reason you at least just stated rent was because there were bed bugs in the park?
Correct.
And you said you took care of your trailer, but there were bed bugs in the park, which is the reason you stopped paying rent.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Groff, that would be the reason I would move. That would not be the reason that I would stop paying rent. Do
I
you
was
understand?
looking for a place too as well.
What?
I was looking for a place as well.
It doesn't make any difference, but while you were looking, you should have been paying rent. I mean, the fact that living in those circumstances, if I believed you, wouldn't be circumstances I would want to live in, especially if I had, as you said, treated my own home so I didn't have bed bugs anymore. I would find a new place for a band.
I understand that.
You stopped paying rent the same month that they fired you.
They never fired me, Your Honor. I stepped down from position because of my wife's health.
Is that correct?
We had to let him go because he wasn't doing his job.
Okay. In what month?
1/31/14.
January 31st, you let him go?
Yes.
And when was the last time he paid you rent?
It was October of 2014.
So after you fired him, he continued to pay you rent for about 9 months?
Yes.
Okay. Now, he is no longer in the trailer park.
Correct. We had to evict him.
And when he left, how much money did he owe you for rent?
4 months worth. At $300, $1,200, and he owed us put that on there because
all I want to know is, at the time he signed over his trailer to you, you accepted it for the money that he owed you.
Correct. Which was basically around $1,500.
And that was 10 or 11 months ago.
No, he signed his trailer over to us right before he moved out.
I understand that, but you accepted that for the money he owed you.
Correct.
So what are you doing here?
Because he put us on social media. He's causing libel and defamation of our park. He tells people not to rent in our park. And then he had a video of the bed bugs saying that everybody in the park had bed bugs. Well, the bed bugs don't travel, pack their little bags and go say, oh, I'm going to go live there. He and his 3 friends, the 2 brothers and a sister, had different, separate lots, their places. They were the only ones that had bed bugs in the park because he's a junk man and he goes around collecting refrigerators, TVs, and blankets. He goes to Storage Wars and gets blankets and all that. Then they shared them.
I'd like to see what he posted on social media.
She has the video of it. Okay, that's one, and then here's the one with the bed bugs.
Moved out when, sir?
I moved out on February 15th.
Of this year?
Of this year.
When did you start to make these postings?
Right after I had to move out.
Right after you moved out?
Yes.
Why didn't you put it on before you moved out?
I have.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, tell me the proof that you had that there were bed bugs throughout the trailer park.
I have pictures of the source of the trailer. I also have the receipts from the company that took care of my trailer. And
well, I don't care about your trailer.
My witness.
I don't care about your trailer.
And my witness's trailer.
Just a second. So you know that there were bed bugs in your trailer?
Yes.
I want you to tell me the trailer park was infested with bed bugs.
Well, the gentleman that went to the trailer, that the source of the bed bugs came from.
Okay, so you have a witness.
Yes.
That had bed bugs.
No, the witness that lived in number 3.
Space
he wasn't a witness. He was a person there. Well, he passed away.
Other than the bed bugs in your trailer, sir, do you live in that park as well?
I used to, yes.
Stand up. Tell me your last name.
Pounds.
Did you have a different trailer space than the defendant?
I was living in space 18 at this time.
Did you have bed bugs in your...
Yes, I did. I had them, but I didn't have them that bad.
How do you know you had them?
When I had pictures of my kids.
Go on that one.
I had pictures of my kids with bites on their face and their arms.
Did you have your trailer?
Yes, I did the same company like he did. This one right here.
Did you report it to the manager?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now stand up. Your last name is Murphy?
Murphy.
Miss Murphy, you know these 2 gentlemen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and they clearly had their trailers exterminated for bed bugs. How many complaints did you have?
Not one.
From either one of these 2 people?
Not one of them.
Did you speak to her?
Yes, I did. I went to them with those pictures and saw them. I put out the yard. I took care of the inside of my house, and they deported to the yard. And all they did is laugh. That's all they did.
Well, I want you to tell me who you told that to.
The manager, Kathy.
That is
to
not
her.
true.
Yes.
To her. Okay, you can sit down now.
Thank you.
Are you still there?
No, no more.
When did you move?
I think beginning of May, I moved up this year.
He was evicted.
Okay. He had bed bugs. This country has free speech. He's allowed to write that there were bed bugs. He had bed bugs. There's pictures of his children with bites on them. He's allowed to write that your trailer park has bed bugs.
I'm sorry, could you say that
again?
again?
That's the First Amendment.
Right, but he never told anybody he had bed bugs.
I believe him when he said he told your manager.
No, he did not.
I believe him. Well, you don't know that.
Yes, I do, because she would have told me.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I have to make a judgment as to whether this man who had children living in his trailer and who used the same company to exterminate his trailer told your manager or her husband, I don't know which one, that there were bugs and he wanted you to take care of the outside. I absolutely believe that he told her.
Your Honor, I can appreciate that you believe that, but that is not.
Because if I lived in a trailer and there were bed bugs and there were more than one trailer that had bed.
Your Honor, we heard about it through the news when the news crew showed up.
Yes.
That was our first explanation.
That was the.
Well, then you were on notice. Then you were on notice. What else do you think that the defendant owes you for? I'm asking you.
Damage.
Beverly.
I'm asking you, Miss Anderson.
Can you show her the truck and the damage to the asphalt? I gave her the. Your Honor, on the bottom of one of those pages that says the paper got a hold of a lawyer, their lawyer, and the lawyer said that it would. Okay.
That's hearsay.
They just said that we're not.
Just a second. Don't try to say it fast.
Okay.
Trying to say it fast doesn't make it any less hearsay.
Okay. Sorry.
So far, I have a man who stopped paying his rent, who owed you 4 months' rent. You accepted his trailer. What did you do with his trailer?
Our assistant manager fixed it up and we sold it.
Okay. And how much did you sell it for?
$2,000.
Okay. So you collected $2,000 on rent that he owed you for $1,200.
After $1,200 of repairs, Your Honor. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I don't know why you're here. I just don't know why you're here.
Your Honor, if I may, he rendered his trailer, and I think this
It doesn't make any difference. She accepted it in lieu of rent, and then somebody fixed it.
That was because our lawyer told us to.
I don't.
Okay, sorry.
Your case is dismissed. That's all. We're done.
I'm sorry.
Bye.
Wait, what about the damage to the asphalt?
We're done.
Fence? Excuse me.
You don't understand? You don't understand when I speak? And you do understand. So I told you twice. Don't tell me what your lawyer said. We're done. Mr. Leon, you claim that you made either an investment or a loan to the defendant for a business. I'm not exactly sure what you're alleging. You didn't get money back and you want your money back. The defendant says that you were. So why don't you tell me first how you know Miss Lapata?
My friend worked with her, and I know that she is the owner of the Anaheim Care Provider, so I trust her.
Is that what you have, Anaheim Care Providing Service?
Yes, Your Honor.
If I looked it up in the phone book, would you have a phone number?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and how long have you had that?
I started November 18, 2011.
And when did Miss DeLeon give you money?
That was December 2012.
And she gave you money as what?
Investment money, Your Honor.
Good. And you invested it in your business?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you print in brochures?
Card,
okay.
And then do some marketing.
Okay, and that's how you've made your money over the last 3 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now, what did you do with Miss DeLeon's money? How is she supposed to get it back?
She invested that money that it didn't work out at the end.
Why didn't it work out? It worked out for you.
It didn't work out the business, Your Honor. It went down.
Well, you just told me that you have a business. You started a business in November of 2011. She gave you money in December of 2012. You're still in that business. It has a phone number. That's how you make money. What do you mean the business went down?
The business went down. That was starting 2013 as a caregiving
It's the same business you're in now.
Yes, I'm a caregiver, Your Honor.
It's the same business you're in now. Did you just change the name?
No, it went down, the business, Your Honor.
I don't understand what you mean. You mean it went away, or what was the name of the company in December of 2012?
Anaheim Care Providers, Your Honor.
So it's the same company that you have now?
I don't have the company now, Your Honor.
When did you lose the company?
Starting 2013, Your Honor, it didn't materialize because I couldn't get any clients.
I thought you said you still have a phone number.
No, I don't have the phone number anymore, Your Honor.
You told me 2 seconds ago that you did. Each other? Is there a language barrier? I mean, I'm serious with you. All information. Healthcare provider. Would they give me a phone number?
No, Your Honor.
Have you tried to contact her at that number?
Yes, Your Honor. I have the telephone number of that Anaheim Care Provider.
Oh, okay. She says she has this phone number. I'm going to go back there. I should not be able to reach anybody, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who are you?
Russ Nybert, Your Honor.
How are you related to her?
When Amy first started her business back in 2012.
Yeah?
When Amy first started her business back in 2012, I do marketing and consulting and whatnot, and she came to me and asked me to help her do some marketing to bring clients in.
Just a second. What do you know about...
Business is shut down. I never got paid a dime out of her business for doing the marketing I did.
Did you file tax returns last year, Miss Lapata?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who did you list as your employer?
I'm a self-employed, Your Honor.
So you were self-employed?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many people work for you?
None, Your Honor.
So you just do home health care yourself now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this telephone number is your old phone number?
That's my cell phone, Your Honor.
This is your cell phone number?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this her cell phone number?
This is...
Is this her cell phone number?
cell phone number and I call that number, the answer is Anaheim.
You gave her $5,000 and there was some sort of a writing. Can I see that, please? This is not a loan. Mr. Leon says you made an investment of $5,000. Who helped you prepare this? Who prepared this?
I did, Your Honor.
What is this?
It's an agreement between me and Leticia De Leon.
And what does the agreement provide for?
That she invested the money in the...
That's exactly what it says. She invested the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the company no longer exists?
No, Your Honor.
Do you still
have it anymore?
A business license?
I don't have it anymore, Your Honor.
Do you have any proof, Mr. Leon, that the defendant still has a business license? Can I see that, please?
We gave it to somebody, the customers.
I don't know. Is this what you prepared for her?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you prepared this when, sir? In what year?
I want to say it was sometime around the end of 2013, roughly.
Okay, good. We're going in the back for a second. We're going to make a phone call.
Okay.
Mr. Leon, this business is no longer in business. The phone number disconnected. Do you understand? Anything else anybody wants to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. By that time that she couldn't get the investment back, she started harassing me and calling me thief and untrustworthy.
That's what she thinks you are.
And then she...
That's what she thinks you are. You took her $5,000, and she was supposed to get money back from the business, and it never happened. And you seem to be still eating. Very
Your Honor,
good.
But I respectfully disagree with that, Your Honor.
I don't care whether you respectfully agree with it or disagree with it. A, you don't have a counterclaim, so I don't have to hear you crying. B, you took her $5,000. She's not your mother, is she?
No,
she's not your sister, is she?
She's not, Your Honor.
She's not. She's a stranger to you, right? But she was a stranger, and you were in a similar business in care. So she thought maybe she could make some money. You could make some money. You're still eating. You're still paying your rent. Do you drive a car? That's how you get to work.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you drive a car, you pay insurance. She doesn't have a kind of work, but just for yourself. But the business that you envisioned didn't pan out.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she thinks you're a thief. I don't know what you did with her $5,000. Maybe you paid yourself for the first couple of months while you were trying to get your business up and running. As far as she's concerned, that makes you a thief. Anything else? This is an investment. It didn't pan out, Mr. Leon. It was not a loan. This case is over. Your case is dismissed.
Now, it's case number 41 on the calendar, the matter of Adams versus Beach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Adams, you bought a puppy from the defendant. Puppy was sick. Took the puppy back.
Yes.
You want your money back.
Yes.
The defendant says, well, the puppy was sick, but I took the puppy back, nursed it back to health, and now it's healthy again, and I have a counterclaim because I'm storing your puppy. That's ridiculous. Born
on
February the 20th.
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Adams came and looked at the puppy when it was 4 days old.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was in a litter of how many dogs?
I think it was 6.
How much did she pay for the dog?
$850.
She gave you an initial deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
And then paid the rest when she came to pick up the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did she come to pick up the dog?
The 7th of April.
So the puppy was 7 weeks old?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a little young.
In between the 7th and the 8th week, they can go home. Yes, ma'am.
Well, they can, but it's a little young.
Okay.
Had you given this puppy any shots?
Yes, they'd have 1 vaccine.
On what date did Miss Adams bring the puppy back to you?
The 10th, I believe.
Within 3 days. And then she get her money back.
Well, the contract clearly states that there is no cash refund. I can replace the puppy with another puppy if she would like. But coccidiosis is actually not included in the warranty because, according to the vet, it is...
Don't tell me according to the vet. That's hearsay, unless you have a vet with you. Can I see the contract, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, this contract is very clear, and unfortunately, you signed it. It says the buyer has 3 working days to have the puppy checked by a licensed veterinarian for health guarantee. If the veterinarian discovers the puppy to be unsound, it can be returned within 3 days to be replaced with a puppy of equal or greater value at the breeder's discretion. However, the next paragraph reads, breeder will not replace or refund for any reason, but not limited to allergies, mortality, landlord landlord's disapproval, a whole lot of other things. So you do discuss a refund in your contract. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You also say that this puppy has been vet checked and is found to be in good health,
yes, ma'am,
which it was not when she took it home. That's what it starts. Vet checked and found to be in good health, which it was not.
It was a vet checked and it was found in good...
On what date?
You have the paper when it was...
No, this is a purchaser's agreement.
Yeah, but down at the bottom it has the vaccination. On the bottom of the third page, ma'am.
Your Honor, can I add...
Just a second.
Okay.
This was on March 15th?
No.
On what date?
Well, it was when there was 5.5 weeks old.
It was well before she picked up the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And this says the puppy was found to be in good health. But when she took the puppy home, it was not in good health. She could tell immediately. She tried to contact you.
Well, she contacted me the Sunday after. It wasn't immediately.
Your Honor, the main point of this is when I went and saw him, I placed a deposit on...
Listen to me. This is a contract case. It's a contract case.
Right.
You have a written contract. Mr. Veach now has this puppy. He says it's well, and he can certainly sell it again. It's still a puppy. It's still a young puppy and still available to be sold if he says it's healthy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have the puppy and her $850. That sounds like an untenable situation to me, especially if I can find in your contract that she can get a refund, because I wouldn't want to take another puppy if I didn't have to from you. And I find that there's sufficient wiggle room for me in the fact that your contract starts out that the puppy is in good health. And when she took the puppy home, paid you $850, puppy came to you and looked at it first. All of those other things that she was bringing it back because it was sick.
Yes, ma'am.
And you acknowledged that it was sick, and you acknowledged that you nursed it back to health, because that's what you say in your answer.
I understand that it is not an expert witness by a vet, but the information on Wikipedia, which is,
Hearsay.
I understand.
It's hearsay. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it had a splinter in its foot. You said, the beginning of this said, puppy is in good health. And when you pay $850 and before you get emotionally, physically invested in a puppy so that you paid $850 and it may cost a breeder who takes the dog to the vet says, well, we're going to have to do blood tests. And we may have to do x-rays because maybe there's a problem. Maybe the puppy has a tumor. I mean, I just had an experience with one of my dogs over the weekend. And if you have an experience with one of your dogs over the weekend, you have to go to an emergency care. And emergency care says to you, the dog needs a full panoply of everything, which costs $900 because it's Sunday. So you may know what it's about. She doesn't know what it's about. She knows she gave you $850 in good faith, and you have a dog now, and the dog was supposed to be delivered to her healthy. It was not. And you actually discuss a refund in your contract. $50. We're done. Counterclaims dismissed. How long was the plaintiff a tenant of yours?
About 1 year and 3 months, Your Honor.
Did she sign a lease when she first moved in?
Yes, she did.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
I do.
I'd like to see it. So she moved in September 1st, 2014?
Well, it started back in September. That was the second year she was there.
Oh, this was the second lease?
Yes.
Okay. So she signed a second lease. The total rent on the apartment was $997.
Correct.
And that was the second lease?
Right.
And what was she paying her first lease?
I believe it was $914.
And you signed this lease, Ms. Tompkins, on September 1st?
Yes.
2014. You gave the defendant a security deposit?
Yes.
And the security deposit was $1,371. Okay. And the case is about your request for the return of your security deposit because you moved out, according to you, by mutual agreement. You moved out prior to the termination of your lease. It is your claim that he was supposed to return the security deposit to you, and that was his agreement. He says that you did damage to the apartment and you broke your lease. That's what his defense is.
Correct.
First, tell me about the mutual agreement that you had with the defendant to break the lease.
Well, I had to call the police on him January 27th of 2015. For yelling and swearing and harassing and locking the basement door on me. And so a couple days later, I asked him, can I terminate my lease because I can't stand it anymore? And he said, okay.
Well, what was the problem?
You never know what kind of mood he was going to be in when you came home. And he lived on the bottom floor. Some days, in a bad mood. He would constantly text me about my children, constantly, all day long. And it was too much.
How many children do you have?
I have 2, and I have my sister.
Well, your sister's not a kid.
She's 17.
She shouldn't be making too much noise. How old are your children?
Right now, my children are 2 and 5.
Okay. So you spoke to him in January about breaking the lease?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He said that was fine. We mutually agreed to break it, and I said that I would be out on or before March 1st, 2015. So then he wrote me a letter, and he said if I did not get out on March 1st, my rent would go up to $1,500 a month.
Well, I don't care what he wrote in the letter. He can't because you have a lease. He knows that.
That's not true.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. She's smart enough. She's a smart lady. She knows you can't raise his
I have
rent.
a copy of that, Your Honor.
Doesn't matter. You're a smart lady. You know we can't raise your rent to $1,500 a month. You have a lease.
Right.
Okay, so you understand what I'm saying to you? You knew he couldn't raise your
I knew
rent.
that was illegal.
Of course.
But I still signed it anyways because I want it out.
You signed what?
The paper stating that I would pay $1,500 if I did not move out before March 1st.
Oh, now I'll see it. Now it's not illegal if you agree to pay it. Oh, you agreed to this by March 1st.
Yes, I moved out
Perfect.
February 23rd.
And you agree she moved out?
She did, Your Honor.
Great. Now, the ball is in your court, sir. You show me the damage that...
Well, Your Honor, first of all, she didn't call the police on the 27th.
I don't care.
The police...
I don't care. Listen to me. I don't care. Now we have this. This is a This is a contract.
Right.
And this says that you agreed to let her out of the lease if she agrees to be out by March 1st. If she's not out by March 1st, the consequence is she agrees to jack up her rent $500 a month.
Right, I did say
Listen
that.
to me.
I'm listening.
That's what it says.
Right.
I don't count. The ball is in your court. You have $1,371 of her money in security deposit. Now you have to prove to me that she or the people living with her did $1,371 worth of damage to the apartment.
Well, Your Honor, when I spoke to Ms. Thompson about moving out, she came to me on January 27th and told me that she wanted out of the lease.
Listen to me.
I understand,
Did you
but I'm going to get
understand?
to
I'm
that point.
speaking very clear English. I said we're finished with that point.
Okay.
Now the burden has shifted to you because you have security deposit, which must be returned to the tenant by law unless the tenant does. She's not going to tell me she damaged the premises. You have to show me how she damaged the premises when she moved out on March 1st. I want you to show me how she damaged the premises when she moved out on March 1st.
Well, there's a lot of trash left behind, Your Honor. There was a lot of trash that was damaged.
Show me.
I don't have the pictures on me because I had to do a
Great. Well, you didn't think you were coming to a funeral today, did you?
No, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,371. That's all.
I've known Don since high school.
Raise your hand, Don. And Mr. Harrison?
I have a daughter by his cousin. She's 9.
So you know him for a long time?
Correct. Have a home. It's a 3-bedroom home, and it also has like a home in the back with like a restroom.
So you have a little guest cottage in the back? Is that
Correct.
just a room and a bathroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they rented that from you?
Actually, I rented them a room in the home.
Oh, not the one outside?
Correct. It started from the home, and then we transitioned to where they stayed.
Okay, but eventually they went to the back?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were there for a very short period of time, according to you?
Like a little bit
3
over a
weeks.
month.
A month or 3
A little over a month when they left. It's like a month and 3 months to be exact.
Well, a month and 3 months is...
I'm sorry, a month and 3 days.
All together, both in the room and in the...
Back house.
And in the back house, they were there for a month. It didn't work out, and it is yours, and that they posted an inappropriate picture of you on the internet. That's what you're suing them for.
And other items as well.
Like what?
He damaged the TV, threw the TV down on the floor. He smashed my phone, took out the car and smashed the phone.
Well, he says the phone was actually his phone that he had given you. Is that true?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy that phone?
Correct.
What did they destroy in this little guest house that they were in?
The table.
What table?
It was a table in the back house. It was a table I got from my family member.
Show me a picture.
I don't have a picture of the table standing. I just have it on the ground.
Can I see it, please?
On the side of the home, and it got rained on as well.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Their belongings.
Okay. You told them that you wanted them to leave. According to you, they did, in fact, get ready to leave. But then you left, they came back, and you caught them coming out of the main house. In the main house that you allege that they caused the damage. In the main house, what is it that you allege that they destroyed?
My 40-inch screen TV that was in the front room.
Okay. And when did you get that TV?
I bought that TV last year.
You have a receipt for it?
No, ma'am.
Who did you buy it from?
I bought it from the store. I really don't keep up with receipts like that. So.
Well, are you coming to court today? If you're coming to court and you want damages for something that was broken that you bought a year ago, you go back to the store and you get it. You know, I'm having enough of this case. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Where do you all come from?
We come from Forward, Texas. Ma'am, can I say something?
Yes.
The table, it was scrap wood. It was already.
I see it.
It was already.
It's junk.
It was.
I'm asking you about the TV.
The TV, we didn't even come inside to have the police. The police was there with us the whole time. We had the police report right here.
I'd like to see it.
Well, the police was there already with us. Stay right here. Police was there with us, and
Why were the police there?
Because we called them because we was calling and asked because she was trying to put us out the house, and then I was like, I'm not leaving until.
Okay, you had paid rent for April.
Yes, ma'am.
And the rent was how much?
She charged us $250.
And you had given her April's rent in the beginning of the month?
No, ma'am. I gave it to her on the 11th of April when I got paid. That's what I understand it. Agreement that we had.
And she tried to put you out on April 13th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you called the police because she said I paid her rent.
Yeah, I called the police to ask them, can she put us out? Since we've been living there, and the police told her it was a civil right, so that she couldn't put us out. She had to take us to court and file eviction on us.
Did she do that?
No, we didn't file eviction, but when we found out she sued us, we kind of sued for the what's it?
Why didn't she give them their money back?
They moved in on May. They would give me the money then. It took them all the way to the 3 days prior to him.
So they lived there in March and didn't pay rent?
Correct. They supposed to give it to me coming in.
So what they gave you was for the 4 weeks before?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay her any rent in March?
Yes, we actually paid her lights 3 times. That was what we were supposed to have been doing until we got paid, was keep the lights on, because when we first got to the house, no lights, nothing for us to lay on, anything, and everything we had to
I'm actually finished with her.
We had to do everything.
Just a second. I'm actually finished with her. What I heard, correct, that but for the fact that she was suing you, you wouldn't be here today. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, she's not suing you anymore. I'm dismissing her case. She thinks this is all a big joke. I have better things to do. Goodbye.
Yes, but...
Goodbye.
This is case number 341 on the calendar, the matter Reed versus Hayes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Just because I'm really curious, who brought the video?
I did.
Then that's not good for you, Mr. Hayes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, this is what the case is about. You're sleeping late at night, and you hear a loud noise outside. Somebody wakes you up. You look outside, and you see that Mr. Hayes has hit your parked car.
My witness saw that.
Actually doesn't deny that he hit your parked car, right?
No, Your Honor.
But your defense is it was her fault.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's why I asked whose video it was. Okay, so the objective data is that on what date?
August 10th.
At approximately what time?
About 9:30.
Miss Reed's car was parked, and you hit Miss Reed's parked car, causing damage. Your defense is that Miss Reed wasn't sleeping, but was actually there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go.
All right, so it was about August 10th.
And I want you to remember, while you're telling me this story, I want you to see what's looming, because what's looming at the end of this case is a video.
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Okay.
August 10th, we were moving my stuff out of the car, or out of my apartment, because of our lease being done. And I couldn't really move anything because of an accident that I was in previously. It was a bike accident, so I couldn't move anything heavy. So they were helping me move my stuff into my car so that I could transfer it to my new apartment. So as I was leaving...
You mean someone else, like this person?
Yes, this is Allah. He was helping me move my equipment. And so whenever I left and drove around the corner, that's when I saw Plaintiff Alicia Reed jump out in the middle of the road while I was driving. And I swerved off, luckily not hitting her, and hitting her car instead.
So she jumped out, and what happened?
And so I parked the car, I shut off everything. She came over, made sure I was okay.
She came over to you?
Yes, she came over to me, Your Honor, and she made sure that I was okay. And I told her I was a little shaken up just due to the fact that I just basically got in an accident. And she asked me if I was okay. She looked down, saw that I was wearing a boot, and asked me if I was okay and what happened. I explained the fact that I just got discharged from the hospital.
So you were driving your car with a boot?
Yes, Your Honor. I was.
You were driving your car with a boot?
Yes, Your Honor. I was medically cleared from the doctor.
Not to drive a car with a boot. Warn one of those. You're not supposed to drive a car with a boot.
Your Honor, action saying that I could drive without.
I would like to see a doctor who said that you could drive a car with one of those huge boots that doesn't come anywhere near clearing both the gas pedal and the brake in a car.
Your Honor, I wasn't using that foot to drive, so I didn't have the boot near either one of the pedals.
Okay, stand up. Tell me your name.
Megan Bloomfield.
Ms. Bloomfield, you want to tell me what you observed on the evening of August 10th?
Yeah, it was about 9:30 at night, and I was in my bed, about to go to sleep. Alicia and I lived in the same building, and I lived right below her. So I heard a girl scream, car run into something. So I got out of my bed, I looked through the blinds, and I saw that the driver had hit Alicia's car, which was him. So I called Alicia, and I was like, Alicia, you might want to go outside. Someone had just hit your car, and she...
When you called her, did you call her on her cell phone?
Yes, and she was asleep. So she was was really confused. She's like, what are you talking about? And I said, someone just hit your car. You might want to go outside. And she asked me if I would go with her. So I said, yeah, of course. I'll be right there. We both walked outside. There were some people outside that had saw what happened.
Don't tell me what they saw.
Okay. Well, there were people outside, and we were talking to the girl that was in the street. She was going across the street, and she was like, he almost hit me. And we talked to him for a little bit, and the cops came, and they couldn't do anything because it was private property. But
were you in the car with him?
No, Your Honor, I was not.
Did you see the accident?
No, I was in the apartment.
Smart answer. Now, where did we get this video from?
I went to the apartment complex the day after and asked if they had video surveillance, and they gave me the video surveillance as well as a letter from the apartment stating that
no, don't tell
it
me.
was from them. Do you
I'll
want
look
both?
at the video.
Okay, you look at the video.
Yeah.
So this is him coming around the corner before the accident, and then it goes to the scene of the crime where the girl is in the middle walking to the trash can, and then she moves to the...
Your Honor, you can't really see that's...
You're an idiot.
Your Honor, clearly you can see that she was in the middle of the road,
No,
and I avoided
just
her.
Just a second. I saw somebody in the middle of the road, and I saw somebody going much too fast. That's what I saw.
Your Honor, it was between 15 and 20 miles per hour. There's no speed limit.
Listen to
There's
me.
no bumps or anything at all.
Listen to me. If you had to swerve to avoid somebody who was in the middle of the street, you were going too fast.
Going to the back parking lot because the apartment complex thought it was a hit and run, so they...
But you could click, my car was parked.
Would you start the video again? Just watch it. Have you seen this video before?
No, Your Honor.
Well, now watch it.
Yes, Your
Use your eyes, not your mouth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I see the estimate of the damage to your car, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have insurance, Mr. Hayes?
I did have insurance, Your Honor.
Show me that you had insurance on the day of the incident.
Your Honor,
don't waste, Mr. Hayes, don't waste my time.
Your Honor,
I want you to listen to me very carefully. It's insurance. We have fax machines. We have all kinds of equipment back there. I'm going to ask you one more time. Did you have liability insurance on your car on August 10th?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
That's why we're here.
Your Honor, the reason why is because of the fact that my...
I don't care what the reason was. You don't drive a car without insurance.
Your Honor, if you can just let me explain, I had the fact that in the accident, I had everything frozen. The doctor told me that whenever I could be driven, I could be released.
Listen to me. You don't drive a car without insurance. If you had insurance, we wouldn't be here today.
Your Honor,
don't sit. Ears. And one of these for a reason. You're here today, and you have all this aggravation because you drove a car without insurance. And so far, what I've heard from you is it's always somebody else's fault. I hit 3 parked cars. It was somebody else's fault. I didn't have insurance on a car that I chose to drive on August 10th. It was somebody else's fault. So what I'm telling you is if you go through life, Mr. Hayes, saying it's always somebody going to look as foolish as you do today, that doesn't require an answer. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,200. Thank you. Whose phone was this, yours or his?
Mine.
Who is he?
He's my boyfriend.
Well, what is he doing here?
He's here to support me.
Well,
as a
support
witness.
you sitting down. Mr. Miller, it is your claim that the defendants have your cell phone. They say they don't have it. Want to tell me how they have your cell phone?
Well, me and my boyfriend Damien had went out late July on the 3rd with Mr. Solomon at a bar later on that night.
Who's Mr. Solomon?
The gentleman in the white shirt.
What's your name?
Solomon, right.
So that's his first name?
Yeah.
Okay, so you met up with Solomon. Go ahead.
And so we were out having a few drinks, and Solomon and Damien got into an altercation with a gentleman at the bar.
Solomon
and Damien.
And Damien got into an
altercation with a gentleman at the bar. The guy was saying a few words to him, and Damien got upset. So Damien and the guy got into a fight.
Damien and the guy got into a fight.
And he had my phone in his pocket. I didn't have anywhere to put it. And during the altercation, the cell phone got lost. And when we got home, I realized, the message from Mr. Wright about finding the cell phone. I told him I would collect the phone, I'd come and collect the phone, and then said he did not have the phone. And so I decided to go and GPS the phone because there's GPS on there, and the phone, location showed up at his address.
Do you have the text that he sent to you?
I have a video glide.
What is that?
It's like a video chat, live message, video message.
Let me see it. One of these days I'm going to get into this century with this new language. The video glide?
Glide video, yep.
It's called to this phone. Tell Cole I got this phone.
I found this phone. I got Chico phone. The LG phone, this Chico phone, I think this phone that I got is his. What's the code to unlock it?
And then that's the second.
I don't got the phone.
The other uncles up here?
Is y'all coming out here tomorrow or what? Or no?
Can I ask you a question? If you don't have a phone, how are you getting this?
I have a second cell phone because I have 2 lines on my T-Mobile account. So that phone is like a personal phone that I use for work and, you know, just
Which phone?
The cell phone that he said that he didn't have. So I have plan.
So where was the other cell phone?
He had my other cell phone in his pocket. And then the one that I have, it was at my residence.
Well, Solomon, why would you make a stupid video like that if you didn't have a phone?
That video actually is not from the same night that we was out. That was a previous video. Because that ain't the first time that things like this have happened. They get drunk all the time. Misplaced phones, keys, and things of that nature.
No, just a second. So is what you're telling me you have found her phone before?
Yeah, his phone.
You found the phone before that they've lost.
He left it in my car. That was the particular video that you just saw. That was a night previous to the night that we went out.
Previous?
Maybe 2 weeks.
Now, why would you ask how to unlock it?
We was all intoxicated that night. I don't know why I would even ask to unlock it. I said, you know, sometimes people get drunk to the point where they say a lot of things, do a lot of things that they don't mean or remember. So that was kind of one of them nights.
You want to say anything?
No, but it is it's a constant thing with them. And we all hang out, so it's a constant thing with them, period. So.
Period. How much was the phone?
The total of the phone is $336.
Can I see the bill? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $336. That's all. Thank you. Ms. Reynolds, how do you know the defendant?
We met through a women's business networking group.
When?
Earlier this year, early 15.
And you had some concert tickets. What was the concert tickets for?
Actually, my coworker and friend had the concert tickets that her daughter wasn't going to use, and she asked me to help sell them. So I posted them on a local Facebook yard sale exchange that we have in our community, and Taylor commented that she was interested in the tickets.
Is that right so far?
Yes.
What was the nature of the concert?
It was One Direction, so it was like a boy band that my goddaughter was obsessed with.
How many tickets did you buy?
2.
How much were they?
They were going to be $200.
And you got the tickets?
Yes.
Did you go to the concert?
Yes.
Did you pay the plaintiff for the tickets?
Not in full.
How much did you pay her?
I don't owe her anything.
I didn't ask you that.
I gave her $100 for the tickets.
Is that correct?
No.
Did she give you any money for the tickets?
Not for the tickets, no. I've received nothing.
Did she give you money for anything?
Yes. The original debt was for $232. The $32 was for a party light candle order that she owed me for, that she came and paid the $32.
Did you purchase candles from Miss Reynolds?
Yes.
What was the amount of the purchase?
The last purchase was $32.
Which you paid her?
Yes.
Other than the $32, did you give her any other money?
Yes.
Do you have it?
Didn't save anything. I didn't think I would need it.
Well, you need it.
Okay.
Where did you make the exchange of the tickets?
At her place of business.
Had you had a discussion before about payment?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your arrangement?
That they were going to be paid over a few weeks.
How many weeks?
We didn't say a specific amount of weeks.
Is that right?
No, it was $50 a week for the next 4 weeks. Her husband was getting paid the following week, and she would come with the first $50.
That sound more reasonable?
It might, yes.
Good. So if that sounds reasonable, when did you give her the first $50?
I didn't give her anything until mid-August to late August.
Why?
The life.
In mid-August, where were you when you gave her money?
At her place of business.
How much did you give her?
The $132. So $32 for the candles and $100 for the tickets.
You didn't get a receipt for that?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
She came that day to pay and handed me $32. And prior to coming, she said, I want you to sign for the cash I'm going to give you. I said, no problem. Erica and I were on our way to the bank walking. Taylor and her husband pulled up in a car, rolled down the window, handed me $32 in an envelope, which I opened right then and there before her husband peeled off. It was only $32, and Erica was there to witness it.
Is that correct?
That is correct. May I speak, or? Okay. She said she here Friday to make her first payment.
You heard her say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you explain to me whether it's $100 or $200, why you don't owe her any money.
The $100 was paid. I
Not
don't
according
have
to them.
proof. And then the other $100, I was a good customer to her over several weeks prior to that. So we had been entered into what I was told was a raffle. And she had said I had won a $100 gift certificate. Already purchased so much prior, I didn't need it. So we had arranged that that $100 would go towards the $100 more that I had owed her.
Is that your arrangement?
No, this is the very first time I've ever heard any of that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I would not mix One Direction tickets with my Party Light candle business. The One Directions were her.
They weren't even her tickets.
Right.
They belonged to her.
But I was dealing with Tiffany.
But they belong to her.
Okay.
She can't pay her in candles, so why would she give you the benefit of that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all. Thank you.
It's case number 576 on the calendar in the matter of Knott versus Underwood.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Okay, Mr. Knott, the defendant was a friend of yours, and you decided to rent an apartment together. It was just the two of you renting the apartment, and both of you were on the lease. Is that correct?
Yes.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so according to this lease, you moved in together. You were supposed to split the expenses, and the lease started in March of 2016 and ended in February 2017. And the defendant, Mr. Underwood, didn't have his half of the security deposit and first month's rent. You acknowledge that, is that correct?
Yes.
So you footed the security deposit and first month's rent. Now, did you ever pay him back for your half of the security deposit and first month's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Yes.
When?
Whenever I let him use my vehicle.
No, letting security deposit and rent.
We made an agreement together.
Letting him use your car, sir, is just an excuse now. So the answer is you never paid him back for the security deposit and the rent. But he's not living there. He moved out.
Yes,
correct?
and that was in
he
June
moved
of
out.
2016.
He moved out. And you moved out when?
When the lease was terminated in February of this year.
Right, and you moved out, and I assume you got your security deposit back.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Why not?
Because of damages done to the apartment, mostly done to the room that Jax was inhabiting. And I have some photos of damages that were done, too.
Well, you moved out when, sir?
I moved out in June of 2016.
So you lived there for months. You
Yes.
lived there for 90 days.
Yes, ma'am.
And you lived there for the entire year.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me see the pictures that you're talking about, sir, and the statement from the landlord with regard to your security deposit.
I was not able to get a statement from the
Well,
landlord.
then you have no case for the security deposit, sir.
However, Your Honor, I do have a note from the landlord whenever I tried to move.
That is too bad. When you move out of an apartment, if they want to keep your security deposit, you get a list of reasons why they are not returning your security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand that, but his wife was in the hospital, and I even have text
Then-
messages from him saying that...
Then I'll dismiss without prejudice. That you can go back and try that in Missouri. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you come to court, you have to come to court prepared. And the fact that your landlord's wife is not feeling well is not a reason not to have the evidence, especially when you moved out in February. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. However,
Perfect.
I have text messages from him saying why he couldn't get it to me, and I've been trying to contact him.
I don't care. What difference does it make that he can't get it to you? Without it, I can't decide your case.
I understand that. However, he just will not respond to me.
Sue him for the return of your security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not him. Sue the landlord if he doesn't respond to you for the return of your security deposit, which was how much? Lived there for 9 months when he did not, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if what you're telling me is, what you want me to believe is that the reason the landlord kept your security deposit is because of damage to his room, I have to see that in an end of lease statement from the landlord who has to give it to you to say why you're not getting your security back.
Gotcha.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now let's get to the first month's rent, which you also didn't pay. Your share of the rent was how much?
We split it half and half, so 600.
Your half of the rent?
300 each, 600 total. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Right. So you owe him $300 for the first month's rent. Did you pay the second month's rent, your $300?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you pay?
Yes.
And June?
Not June.
June 1st is when Jackson moved out.
Okay, so he owes you for the first month, $300. Now, what you're asking for is for the remainder of the lease after you lived there for 9 months.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that the reason you couldn't sublet his room is because you needed the landlord's permission.
Yes, and I was unable to find a suitable person to take that spot.
Well, I want to see what efforts you made to try to find someone to take his spot. You have to be able to show that you mitigated damages. You can't wait until the end of the lease and come back and sue him. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You lived there all by yourself, so it was real comfortable. I'm going to find out why. That had something to do with his dog. Is that what the problem was?
The problem was that we had the initial argument that caused Jax to move out because Jax had texted me one day saying that he was on his way to work and that the dog had went to the bathroom on the floor, and then he just locked the dog up and left it sitting there all day.
And?
And whenever I had a problem problem with that. We ended up getting into an argument over that, and then I believe it was the next day that Jackson just left.
When you got into an argument, did the argument become physical? No. So tell me what the argument was.
The argument he's talking about is because on my way downstairs to leave to go to work, his dog had gone to the bathroom, and I was already late to work. So
His dog or your dog?
His dog. I didn't pick it up.
Okay. Is it your dog?
That was never really made clear.
Okay, fine. So that's what the argument was about. You still didn't tell me why you moved out.
I moved out for a whole bunch of reasons. At first, me and him were really good friends, so everything was going fine. But whenever, I know you said it didn't matter, but we did make an agreement that, you know, his car broke down on him, and he kept asking to use mine. And after gas and insurance, I was letting him use it daily, and I let him drop me off at work and everything. So I said, in order to do this, it's going to cover what I owe you. And we came to that agreement, so I let him use it every day for 3 months. And towards the end of that 3 months...
We'll leave that story because you told me that the only month you didn't pay was the first month. You paid your half of the rent in the month of April and in the month of May.
Because he was wanting that first month and for the security deposit. And I agreed to him that I would help refund some of the money since he put it forth first.
Well, that would be $600.
Yes, exactly.
So he used $600 worth of gas for 2 months?
No, but in order, if he wasn't using my car, he would have to rent a vehicle and have to pay for that.
Okay.
And we made that agreement.
Okay, so continue.
Okay. Anyway, I started dating my girlfriend, and she lived in Ohio at the time.
So you needed your car.
I needed my car, yeah.
You needed your car, and you told him he couldn't have use of the car anymore.
Yeah, and I went to Ohio to actually move there, but I knew I was still in my lease and everything, so I was going to come back and try to find a way to either get it early out of my lease or wait it out. But whenever I came back, I had heard from a bunch of my friends that he was making fun of me and a bunch of different things, and then it kind of escalated from there, and he kept, you know, getting in my face and just being like, "Where's my $500?" I was like, "Look, I let you use my car for all that time. If you still need money because you don't have a job, I can go ahead and give you a little money here and there, but I'm a waiter at Steak and Shake." And, like, the argument would go away for a day.
You had enough money to go to Ohio.
Well, yeah, I had enough. Well, I was only $60 gas to get there, and then she helped me get back.
In the hotel room.
Yes, and a hotel room. I admit that. But I was thinking $500 at that point, and, like, none of this was brought up until after I had gotten back from Ohio. Because he knew I had been going, and there was no conflict until I got back. And then, you know, it just escalated from there. It kept getting, like, you know, more and more.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, good. So this is what I think, Mr. Knott. I think that I will give you 2 months' worth of rent from Mr. Underwood for the 2 months that you should have found a new roommate, because I gather you don't have any. Yes.
And also I found out, because we shared personal friends after I had moved out, someone did move in and was living in my room. I was friends with someone who was dating that person.
Is that true?
I never did move in.
You get $300 he owes you for the first month.
I also
now, do you have a counterclaim? We'll get to it. Money owed for damage to the couch and the ottoman and the chair, but it's a return of the value of a hammock and the destruction of mail. Now, yes. Mr. Underwood, you haven't had any contact with him, I assume, for the last 9 months.
Yes.
What are you doing here today? You haven't had any contact with him, I assume, for the last 9 months.
Yes.
What are you doing here today? If the couch was important, the ottoman was important to you, the hammock was important to you, your mail that he ripped up and put in a bag, 9 months ago, you would have been at the courthouse door filing a complaint. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. We are done.
Ma'am, I still have counter. Well, I apologize. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because I didn't know until I moved back to Missouri that he was trying to sue me.
Good. That's what we're done. Thank you. Claim that the defendant harassed you and stalked you. The defendant says quite the opposite, that you did that stalking and harassing to him, and in addition, you filed a restraining order for no valid reason and then didn't show up. And you had not met because you met on social media. According to what I read, you talked to each other, discussed things with each other, and were planning to meet, and then Mr. Gaeta, for whatever reason, decided not to meet you. Is this the first time that you've actually... That's what I thought. And when did this social media start? Who contacted whom?
The defendant was soliciting clients for a law firm that he had just recently gotten hired with, and I had contacted the defendant for a friend who was in need of an attorney. So on September 30th...
So you contacted him?
I did, on September 30th of 2016, okay. Yes.
Now, you have an ex-husband?
I do.
And his name is?
Lawrence.
Mr. Gaeta, have you ever met Lawrence?
Never.
You don't know who that is?
I don't know who she is. I don't know who he is.
Right, and she contacted you. You didn't contact her. So the suggestion that he was stalking you because he's a friend of your ex-husband's, the answer is either yes or no, and then I'll ask to see the proof.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'd like to see the proof. Tell me what it is.
That is actually a citation issued September 9th of 2016, where the defendant had received a speeding ticket 3 blocks down from my house, doing 80 in a 25 school zone.
You want to tell me what proof you have that the defendant knows your ex-husband? What proof you have that the defendant knows your ex-husband?
I had a file.
Ms. Lopez, let's not play with each other. If you have proof someplace outside that the defendant knew, this ex-husband, which is the reason that you say he was harassing you, I want to know what it is, then where it is. And if you have it in a file, you'll get the file.
It is proof on social media that they are all connected friends on social media.
Well, that's interesting. You mean they have mutual friends on Facebook? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
So do you have any proof that Mr. Gaeta communicated with your ex-husband?
Not directly communicated, but the defendant did tell me specifically that he did know him.
He did?
Yes.
When did he tell you that?
It was within the first week or two of us speaking between September 30th.
Well, tell me exactly what he said to you, Ms. Lopez.
During that time, he and professionally and personally.
Just tell me what he said about your ex-husband.
He had asked specifics as to what had happened with my ex-husband.
What happened?
How we broke up, why we broke up,
yes.
The circumstances surrounding it.
Yes.
And I told him the circumstances and that I was a victim of stalking and domestic violence, that my ex had been prosecuted, and I hold a 10-year protective order against my ex-husband. At that time, he asked what the gentleman's name was. I gave him my ex-husband's name, and he said that he did know him, that my ex and he had met previously in Ventura County, where he resides.
Well, the next question would be, what do you mean you met? Explain that to me. So what did he say? Down, look at me.
The defendant answered that he had met him previously with my ex-husband visiting for Ventura County on a softball tournament, I believe. Some sort of a tournament. I believe it was softball that he had stated.
And then what did you say? Did you say, you met him? Did you? I mean, I would ask a lot of questions for a stalking ex-husband. Do you understand what I mean? I would ask a whole bunch of questions. So I just want you to continue the conversation as you recall it.
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
And at that point, I'd asked him then if he was friends with him personally or what, and he said yes, that he was friends with him.
Did you have that conversation with her?
Not at all.
Not at all. Now, you filed for a protective order against him that you made in the protective order against Mr. Gaeta. Do you have a final order of protection against your former husband?
I do.
Issued in what county and what year?
Santa Barbara County of March of 2016. It was a 10-year criminal protective order. I also have a civil restraining order that was 3 years issued, I believe, March of 2016 as well.
Okay, now I want you to go and find the proof that's in your file that the respondent is a personal friend of my ex-husband. Go find it. We'll recall the case.
Of case 582 in the matter of Butler, Lopez versus Gaeta. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
Okay. I'm not understanding this.
Your Honor, I highlighted my ex-husband and my ex-brother-in-law and the defendant, as well as a mutual friend as well, the female.
Explain to me how this suggests that they know each other.
They're all on Facebook together. I don't know if you're familiar with Facebook, but the pictures will show up of the quote-unquote friends on each other's friends lists.
She looks like she's friends with a lot of people.
Right, but my ex-brother-in-law and my ex-husband are also listed on there as well.
That's what you have?
That's what I have, yeah.
Where did you file for a temporary protective order against the defendant?
In San Francisco.
Where do you live?
In San Francisco now.
Where do you live, Mr. Gaeta?
I live in Ventura.
How long did it take you to get from Ventura to San Francisco to the courthouse on the return date of this protective order?
7 hours each way. I took 2 days off.
Just a second. 7 hours?
Yes.
And you live in San Francisco. Order of Protection suggested that for a variety of reasons, even though you had never met him,
yes,
you were afraid of him.
Yes.
Did you show up at the protective order hearing?
No, and I have a doctor's note because of...
The answer is you did not show up.
No, I was unable to show up.
That's not unable. Were you in a hospital? Were you in a hospital?
No, I was at the doctor's office.
Too bad.
And I do plan on refiling, Your Honor.
If you are afraid, then what you do is you show up for a protective order. What you do is not harass somebody to make a 7-hour trip, hire a lawyer, and then not appear, and then refile. That's harassment. Good. Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000. Your claim is dismissed. We're done.
That's case number 46 on the calendar in the matter of Stewart versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Miss Stewart, you rented a room from the defendant and paid him in advance for your first month's rent. And it is your claim that his behavior and the behavior of he and his girlfriend as a couple forced you to move out of the room within a few days, and you want your money back.
Right.
When did you move in?
On February 6th, and on February 7th, I started to move in.
How much did you give him?
I gave him a check for $250.
And describe the property that you moved into. Was it a house? Was it an apartment?
It was a house.
Who else lived there?
He and his girlfriend, and then one other person, I can't recall his name.
Who else lived there?
My nephew.
How long have you and your girlfriend lived in the house?
I lived there 4 months prior to her coming in.
Okay. Would you describe Mr. Williams' conduct that, according to you, forced you to move out early?
Well, it was during the time I was moving in, it was the way he treated
animals.
Dogs.
What kind of dogs?
Pit bulls, 2 pit bulls and a lab.
Explain to me what you saw.
Well, the female was chained up and not fed.
She's a liar.
I don't want you to speak until I look at you.
Okay.
Was not fed well. She wasn't healthy, and she was just a puppy and just basically used as a breeder so that he could make money off of the puppies. But
were there puppies there?
No, but she was just a puppy herself, and just not treated well like the other 2 dogs.
That was the pit bull?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So that got me, worried too, and I thought, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to keep trying. So I stayed finally got the last load moved in. I came home, and him and his girlfriend were fighting because she was getting too many text messages.
Describe the fight. Where did it take place?
In the kitchen.
And the kitchen is a common room?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the fight. Tell me what you heard.
Well, I just walked in, and they were yelling because she was getting too many text messages, and he said, everybody get... And so I turned around, and I was walking out the door, and as I was walking out the door, I heard him slap her and her say, ouch. And he can say whatever he wants, but I heard that, and when I left, I texted her and asked her if she was okay, and he texted me back, and I have copies of the text messages.
Your Honor, this woman is lying right now. Straight lying.
I texted you. Are you okay?
I'll get to you.
Okay.
Oh, you sent her a nasty response to her question.
Yes, I did.
When she was asking your girl, hey, don't speak when I'm speaking.
All right, I apologize. I get upset when somebody's lying about me, though, Your Honor.
They didn't lie about you, sir. You sent this text message. She asked your girlfriend, quiet. She asked your girlfriend, are you okay? And then she texted her again, and she says, call me if you ever need anything. Keep the baby said to her. And you wrote back, why would you text and ask if she was okay? Well, she was texting to ask if she was okay, sir, because according to her, and according to your answer, which you swore to, you and your girlfriend were fighting.
Yes, ma'am, we were.
So that when she says, why would you ask if she was okay, that's the reason. And then you say to her, will you mind your own business in my blank house?
That's right.
If you cause problems, you'll be the blank out. That's a nasty text message.
Well, she was slandering me because I do not hit women.
Just a second.
I never said he did.
She never accused you in the text messages that I just read of hitting her. She just says, are you okay?
Okay.
And if you need anything, just keep the baby safe.
You okay?
In response to that, you responded to her with a profane,
yes, ma'am,
laced...
I did.
Yes,
why? Because the reason that me and the girl was arguing, because I came home and she's pregnant and she was drunk. Not because she got text messages, because she was drinking alcohol. And then this woman, right?
Just a second. So the reason you were fighting with your girlfriend is because you came home and found her drunk.
Drunk, pregnant.
Drunk.
Not my child, but she was still pregnant. She was together.
Well, how long had she been your girlfriend?
Just like a month.
This sounds like a terrific story.
Yeah, it was a horrible story. It's a horrible story. And this woman comes into my house.
Story. She what?
She came to my house, and I'm an electrical contractor.
I don't care what you do for a living.
I'm trying to explain how we got together here.
I don't care how you got together.
Well,
there's only one issue here.
Okay.
And the issue is whether, based upon lots of things, including the text message from you, which says, cause problems, you'll be that blank out, would I get out of that house? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stay with you for another minute.
If she'd have minded her own business, she didn't even have a stand there and let a pregnant woman drink and not get upset about that, Your Honor.
Let me tell you something. You're not the pregnancy police.
I am when it's in my house.
No, sir. You're
and this
not
woman
the listen to me. You're not.
Drug pipes in my house.
Don't try to talk over me,
I'm not.
sir.
I'm just trying to tell you the truth of what it is.
Don't try to talk over me. You're not going to be successful.
I'm not trying to, ma'am. I respect you.
Well, you are talking. You're talking over me. You see how you're still talking when I am?
Yes, ma'am.
If my landlord, with whom I shared a kitchen, used the language that you used in here, I would feel threatened and I would move out.
Okay, that would be your choice.
Choice inspired by your bad behavior. That's the whole issue here. Whether this message that you sent to her was sufficient basis for her to move out, break your 1-month lease, because that's what you had, a month-to-month lease.
2 months.
We had a month-to-month lease. You have a lease in writing?
No.
Then you have a month-to-month lease, and the main issue is if she's entitled to her rent back.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it was her choice to leave, but I think she'd be crazy if she didn't leave.
Your Honor, can I explain my side of what happened now? Because she told you the faults of everything. I'm telling you, I did send those texts because I was up, right?
Well, just a second. I just want you to get to, she walks into the kitchen and you are fighting with your girlfriend who was pregnant with somebody else's child because you came home and found that she had been drinking alcohol.
Absolutely.
And you felt as if you had the right, under those circumstances, because she was under your roof, to fight with her. That's what you just explained to me.
Exactly.
She comes home. Take it from there.
Okay, she came home. I didn't want nobody to know for the other girl's sake of what we were arguing about. I was embarrassed for her, let alone being angry. So I told everybody, I need 10 minutes in my house. Go outside. Right? Okay, she did not move, Your Honor. She went in. I gave this woman my room, my bedroom, when she moved in because my friend that owns a real estate company.
Listen, this is not Dr. Phil. Just get to the story.
Well, I gave her my room, and she wasn't moving. I said, this means you too. Go outside. And then when she texted her, first she called and said, I heard him hit you. I said, I don't know where you're from and what kind of men you hang out with, but where I'm from, my mother didn't raise me to hit women, especially pregnant women. I've never put my hands on a woman in my life. I did raise my voice, and I was off because I don't feel that a woman that is pregnant should be drinking. This woman right here was in her bedroom smoking crank, and that she's a drug addict, and she's a liar and a manipulator. She was supposed to pay me the 2 months because her house was in escrow. My friend that owns the...
Listen,
and
you're
I asked her for the other $250.
You're going too far,
right,
sir.
It goes to the money.
All she's suing you for, she wants her rent back.
But she don't deserve her rent back because she chose to leave. And yes, because she interfered where she shouldn't
All right, Mr. Williams, let me explain something to you, sir. She paid you $250 for her room. You can't tell her to go outside of her home for 10 minutes, 10 seconds, out of the kitchen. You can't tell her to go out of the house for 10 minutes, 10 milliseconds, so that you can continue to fight with your girlfriend.
I wasn't
You don't
fighting.
have that. Well, yes.
I was yelling and asking her what she was thinking, drinking, pregnant.
You the girlfriend?
No, she
Where's the girlfriend? Who are you?
I'm his girlfriend now.
Good luck to you. You got the whole picture. So I wish you good luck. You get your $250 back, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all. Ms. Woods, there are two parts of your complaint. They both emanate from you loaning your car to your cousin and him acquiring during the course of him having the car a series of tickets, and also you ascribed to him damage to the car that occurred a couple of days after you got the car back. The bumper or something fell off the car, and you believe that that was caused by something that did. Mr. Woods says you were going out of town for a period of 4 or 5 weeks to care for a relative. You asked him if he would like to move the car for you because there's alternate side of the street parking during street cleaning. He said he would move the car for you. He probably did, in fact, take it out when he needed it. Is that right, sir?
Of course.
But that the tickets that you got on the car were for a problem that you had with the car. You had no front license plate on the car, and that's not his fault, and that he never caused any damage to the car. He doesn't know what you're talking about with regard to your bumper.
I do.
Does the state of California require that you have a license plate on the front and the back of your car?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
When do your cousin have a front license plate on the car?
I have.
That's either you're a yes or a no. You did?
Yes.
What were the tickets that were received while the car was in Mr. Woods' possession? What were they for?
For parking in the alley, for...
Just a second. Parking in an alley.
That was the first one.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Parking in alley. What alley did you park the car in?
I don't know.
Well, then that's your... Okay. Very good. What's the next ticket that you got? So far, this has nothing to do with lack of a front license plate.
The no stopping and standing, and also display of plates.
Well, let me see, because display of plates is your problem. No stopping, no standing. She wasn't stopping or standing. You were stopping or standing.
I will stop.
So why didn't you pay the ticket?
Well, that's just one of the tickets that I did not pay yet.
Well, here are 2 tickets you didn't pay. Here's another one for $201. And I'm not charging you, sir, for the $76 for display of plates.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. What's next?
Parked on the sidewalk.
Parked on the sidewalk.
These are all the tickets.
Oh, there's more. I got like 11 tickets.
Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, bro. This is parked on the sidewalk, sir. Why were you parked on the sidewalk?
I wasn't parked on the sidewalk.
July 1st, 2:19 a.m.
I was parked, and it was about maybe 2 or 3 inches on the line for the sidewalk, so they gave me the ticket.
Well, who should pay for that?
No one.
Well, then what you have to do, sir, is you have to go and fight it, but
sure.
not just not pay it. But right now, it's beyond fighting. What do you mean, okay?
Okay.
I mean, why do you come here? You really have no legitimate defense.
Okay.
And you just say, well, you know, I have nothing else to do. Do you work?
Yes.
Doing what?
Limos. I work with limos.
You work with cars?
Correct.
Work with cars?
Ironic, right?
One display of plates. That's your problem. Display of plates. Standing in the alley. That would be him. $63. Then this cop really didn't like you because he gave you another ticket on the same day for display of plates.
I've never received tickets for display of plates ever.
Well, you got them now.
I was not here.
Oh, no, they're your display of plates. If you didn't have a plate on the front of your car, that's your problem.
I do have a plate.
Then why would a police officer, if you had plates on the car, give you tickets?
Because my car was, you're going to issue tickets. They're going to issue tickets for everything they can.
Well, that's right, but they couldn't issue a ticket if you had a front plate on your car.
No, it's right here. See, the front plate. It's displayed. It was knocked off because someone parked so close to my car that they knocked my plate off. But it is displayed.
Just a second. Before or after he had it?
It was before he had the vehicle, yes.
That's right.
But it was also, I've never received tickets.
Then you can go and you can contest display of plates. But you're supposed to have the plate displayed on the front of the car. So he's not responsible for the display of plates. That's your problem.
So I see. It was just throwing them out the window. Shoot the ticket.
Like you're arguing with me now. And say to the judge who's hearing your case, my car had a plate displayed. It was in the front window at the time. It just wasn't on the car. And if the judge buys it, fine. But don't just ignore it. Go and tell it to the judge, not to me. I'm not the parking violations judge. Here's another one, sir. You like to stay in alleys. What do you do in alleys? Standing in an alley.
It's just the way the parking is in that area.
No. I want to know. Did you ever get a ticket for standing in an alley? No, just standing in an alley. I mean, I've gotten a ticket for, overdue meter. I have gotten one of the... anybody in my family, certainly not myself, getting a ticket for standing in an alley. Mr. Woods seemed to have a penchant for getting tickets for standing in alleys.
Must be a California thing.
Must be.
Hers?
Yours. You're standing, you're on the side, no front plate.
Okay.
There's nothing here that says license plate on it. You trust me on that, don't you, Mr. Woods?
I definitely do.
719. What else do you want from him, Miss Woods?
Okay, after I received my car back from him on the 27th, as I was driving on the freeway, my grill flew up, scratched my hood, and hit the windshield.
Well, that's not Mr. Woods' fault.
Things didn't just fly off my car when I had
Well, Miss
previously.
Woods, you told me about 5 minutes ago that the reason your front plate wasn't on the car is because someone had backed into the front of your car and knocked the license plate off, which is why you put it inside the car.
Correct.
You just told me that. How are you going to explain that to me when you want to ascribe any damage that happened that you don't know? He denies he was in any sort of an accident.
I mean, he denies he was even parking my car, but the fact of the matter is he was driving my car for 5 weeks. I get it back and stuff is flying off. I know what happened to my license plate. It was 2 days after I purchased my vehicle that someone parked so close to my car and knocked it off. So I've had my license plate displayed in my window for 5 years. Never one ticket.
You're very, very lucky lady.
I know, it's my responsibility
You're
to take
a
care of
very
display
lucky
plates,
lady.
but
He owes you $719 for his parking tickets.
Well,
That's it. Thank you very much.
It's case number 510 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Lessard. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
The defendant gave you a place to stay. You and who else?
I have 5 children.
And you met her where?
Mental health classes.
And you were attending mental health classes because?
I was doing parenting classes, anger management, domestic violence.
And you were in this class for the same reason?
Yes, ma'am.
And on what date did you move in?
January 22nd.
And from what I read in the complaint and the answer, the day after she let you move in with your 5 kids, Children's Services came and removed all 5 children?
Yes, from school.
From school, so they never actually came back?
No.
Are they with you now?
No, they're not. They're with my sister.
So they were placed by the court with your sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first time they were placed with your sister, or was it?
Second.
Who is this, by the way?
This is my best friend, Aaron. He's the witness. He was there when the Tana vandalized my car.
He's the one who broke into her house?
He didn't break into her house.
You said he broke into her house. Now, about a week after you moved into the house, you left to go to a friend's funeral.
Correct.
And in the evening, you came back with him.
No, Your Honor.
Who did you come back with?
I came back with my friend that stays down the street, but when she broke my window, this was before I was trying to get ready for the funeral.
She broke your window before?
Before I was going to the funeral. I was trying to get to her house to get my belongings so I can get dressed. And I wanted to leave her house because she was holding my clothes hostage because she has roaches at her house. And I'm scared of roaches. So I was trying to get my stuff, and she was holding my stuff hostage. So when I was calling her, I thought she was having her baby. She didn't have her baby then. She was in the house, like, ignoring my calls, ignoring me, banging on the door for me to get my belongings so I won't never come back to her house. So that's when my friend, he did go into her house, you know, and in the front door. He just grabbed it open, and it opened because there were...
No, that's not even what you say here.
He, like, grabbed it, and we was doing this for like an hour, Your Honor, you know, but she was in the house the whole time. Like, why are you holding my stuff hostage? Just let me get my stuff and go. So then next thing you know...
Well, let me ask you this question. Why would someone that allowed you to stay in her house for a week, gave you a place to stay, I'm just curious, why would she all of a sudden hold your clothes hostage?
Because she needed my help. She didn't have anyone. Her daughter that she has with her right now, no one was there.
No,
it was just me and her. Her daughter was not there.
You're not giving me an answer.
Because she needed my help, Your Honor.
She needed
when she
your
had her
help for
baby,
what?
I was supposed to take her kids to school and pick them up and be the caregiver while she was having her baby.
Do that?
I didn't want to do it because I didn't like the roaches there. I can't deal with that. It's disgusting.
So you left the house not intending to come back. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
So when you went to the funeral, I'm not understanding your
Okay, Your Honor.
timeline, ma'am.
I left the house the night before the funeral.
Okay. Where did you go the night before?
They had a party at the court for my friend Tony Boy, rest in peace, on Adams
Just
and
a second.
West Boulevard.
What time did you get finished with the party?
About 2 in the morning, it closes.
And where did you go at 2 a.m.?
I went to my auntie's house to stay across the street on Adams and Palm Grove.
And then?
And then I woke up in the morning to go to the slots and swap meet so I could get my dress made with this picture on there so I could wear it to the services later on that evening.
And then?
And then I came back to Adams and Palm Grove, and that's when I seen my best friend, Aaron. He's like, let me roll with you. So he rolled with me, and I wanted to go to her house to get dressed.
So what time did you get to her house?
I say like 11.
So you got to her house at about 11 a.m. with your friend who you just met up with at the...
At his house. I saw him walk into his house.
At his house. And you went over to her house. You hadn't been there for at least a day.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the door was locked.
Yes, Your Honor.
The door was locked. Were you at the door or were you in the car?
I was in the car, blowing her phone up, hitting her up on Messenger. Like, on Facebook, it says, you're active now. She was active. I'm like, are you in the hospital or what? I need to get my stuff. Like, and she was ignoring me. I was doing that for like a whole hour.
Okay, so you were blowing her up on Facebook. You know what that means?
She kept picking up
Like
over
a
and over again.
robocall over and over and over and over again.
Over and over
Okay.
again.
And she wasn't answering your call from the car. He went out. Stand up. Your name?
Aaron Green?
Were you arrested for burglary?
No.
Well, you were at the door. The door was locked.
It was locked or stuck, one of them. She said if you wiggle it a little bit, it's open.
And what were you going to do?
Nothing. Open the door for her.
Why didn't she wiggle the door herself?
Because I was...
Look at me. You know, a normal question would be, if all you have to do is wiggle the door and you want to go inside and get your stuff and the door's... Why don't you just wiggle it yourself and go in? What did she need you to be her wiggler for?
I was just trying to help out.
I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, actually,
there had
I
to
don't
be a
know. You're right.
Listen to me. There had to be a conversation if you were both sober at 11 o'clock in the morning and you went over to her house and she had to have a conversation with you about what she wanted in the house and about into the house instead of saying, you can wait in the car. I'm going to go in and get my things. Did you have that conversation with her?
Yes.
Of course you did.
we had the
Because a
conversation.
normal person would do that. You're not abnormal, are you?
No, not at all.
So when you said to her, why aren't you going to wiggle the door and you want me to wiggle the door, what did she say to you?
I guess she wanted to see me wiggle.
That's it. Got it? So, what did she say to you, sir? That was a cute answer.
I know.
It was a cute answer.
No,
There's only one star here. That's me. I have the job.
That's why I love you.
You want to tell me what her answer was when you asked her, why do you want me to wiggle the door?
She asked me, she said she wanted me to get the door open for her.
Oh, that's better. She
Yeah.
wanted you to get the door open for her.
Yeah.
Now, she had lived there for a whole week because according to her complaint, she moved in there and about a week later, my friend passed away. After she moved in, according to her complaint, so she said, get the door open for me.
Yeah.
Sit. Can I see a picture of the door?
This is the screen door, where the screen door was, where he actually jimmied open the screen door. The screen door was locked. Kicked in the door. You can see the frame of the door actually off, the latch on the door.
Oh, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a place that you rent?
Yes, and that's not wiggling anything.
No, do I look like I don't understand wiggling and burglarizing? I know what a wiggle is, and I know what a burglarizing is.
Her baby daddy did that, Your Honor. Her door was like that already. That's why it was hard to push open. And when he pushed it open, the whole thing came off because it was already messed up.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So now you're out in the car, and your friend here has burglarized her house. Do you get out of the car, or do you stay in the car?
I get out the car, Your
You
Honor.
get out of...
When he opened the door. Yeah, he said, I got it open.
And what happened when you got out of the car?
She came out naked.
Okay.
With a stick and a knife in her hand.
And at that time, she's 9 months pregnant, right? How many children do you have?
I have this with the baby at 6.
The baby is 6?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
That's enough. So now she comes out holding a stick naked.
And she has a knife in her hand also.
And?
She's like, I'm going to kill you. You're trying to break in my house. Breaking in my house.
And?
He like, let's go. I'm like, no, LaTanya, it's not like that. Why are you ignoring my calls? You've been in the house this whole time. I just want to get my stuff out your roachy house and leave. She's like, I got some for you. I got some for you. So then that's when she disappeared for a minute, and she comes out, and she hits my window with the big old banister because her stair banister rail is broke. And the first time she hit it, it just made a little crack. And then the second time, it busted the whole window out. So he like, oh, my God. I'm like, LaTanya, are you freaking serious? You're going to bust my windows out like that? All I'm trying to do is get my stuff. So he's like, you're going to get out of here. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cut you from ear to ear. Woo, woo. And then she tried to wave the knife at him. He like, Rosin, I'm finna go. I'm like, don't leave me here. Like, protect me. She gon', you know what I mean? So then he got in the car, and then when I turned around, he like rolled all the windows down, because after that, she hit the front window, and then he like rolled the window.
So just a minute, that's why
she
we're
punched
here.
me in my eye also.
For property damage.
She punched me in my eye also.
That's not here. What I have here is for vandalizing my vehicle, towing fees, and return and value of my personal belongings. That's the complaint you signed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that pretty much what happened?
That's not what happened.
Well, let's get to the point where he was burglarizing your house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's get to the point where he was burglarizing your house.
Can I start from where he actually...
Listen to me. If it's exactly the way she describes it...
It's not exactly
Listen to me.
the way.
I want you... Before you interrupt, if it's exactly the way she describes it, she has no case.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Right.
Burglarizing your house.
Yes,
How do you burglarize something where I'm living? I was living there.
Evidently not.
I was living there. She's trying to hold my stuff hostage because she wanted me...
No, she wants to give you all your stuff.
Well, I want my stuff, and I want my $1,000 deductible I had to pay for my window in my car.
Listen to me. Then you shouldn't have burglarized her house.
I didn't burglarize her house.
I'm just telling you did.
What is considered burglarizing? I got in there to get my stuff. Didn't nobody take nothing.
You can't send him in to break down a door.
He didn't kick her door in, Your Honor. She's
I'm
lying.
just telling you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you have an estimate for the door?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
A guy came, and he gave me the estimate. I had to give looked at the property
Don't
damage.
tell me what he showed. Who it may concern. Outfit contractor. I don't know how much it's going to be to fix the door, but it's going to be at least $300. That's what he said. Okay. Miss Jones, you have personal property, clothes, and your children's clothes at her house that you have packed up?
Yes.
You have 5 days to go there and pick up your personal property. Listen to me carefully. You have 5 days to go there to pick up your personal property. 5 days from today, I suggest you go with a police escort. Do you understand?
Yes, Your
I will
Honor.
give you an order that you can pick up your personal property. As far as your car is concerned, next time you conspire with somebody else to break into somebody's house, which is exactly he broke into her house, and if you lived there, then you didn't have to do that. All you had to do was go. Pay attention. You go to the police and you say, I've been living at this house for about a week, and my property is in the house, and I want my property. You don't burn up her Facebook. You don't bring your boyfriend to burglarize her house.
That's not my boyfriend. That's my best friend. And I did call the police, Your Honor. And when I went, the police came there, so they had to tow my other car from her house, brand new car that I have.
Listen to me.
She has all my stuff.
Listen to me.
And I need her to pay for my damages.
She's not paying for your car.
Why is that?
Because I just told you, because you were in the process of a burglary.
It's not a burglary, Your Honor, if you live there.
Plaintiff's case is dismissed. Judgment all, we're done. Scram, the defendant was your boyfriend for a period of time, and it is your claim that during that time you made him a series of loans. Mr. Rowe says that there was never any discussion of repayment of any of the money that you gave him, in effect that they were gifts that you gave to him, and he has a counterclaim. I see you have no witnesses. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, if you have no witnesses, sir, then you have no counterclaim. If you have no witnesses, sir, then you have no counterclaim.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because what you're talking about is alleged statements that she made to your parole officer. Your parole officer isn't here, so that's lost wages because you say she's responsible for getting you fired from your job. But your employer's not here to tell me that you were fired from your job because of anything that she did. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
All right, good. So let's talk about the money that Miss Graham gave you. What did she give you money for?
Well, basically, I got out of prison March 2nd. She hit me up through Facebook Messenger and took me out to an early birthday lunch on March 10th. And then from there, later on that night, I went back over to her house and we like hooked up and...
I don't need all the gory details, sir, because that's not my... I want to know when and under what circumstances she gave you the first bit of money she gave you.
To buy a Mercedes SUV.
When was that?
I don't know the exact date.
What was the month?
Either April or May.
Well, you met March 10th.
Yeah.
So a month later, do you remember when...
It was May, Your Honor.
So a meeting, she gave you money to buy a car.
Yes, she did.
How much?
$2,100.
Were you working at the time?
No, I wasn't.
How were you living?
I was basically living over at my brother's house until she asked me to move in with her.
So you moved in with her?
Yeah, but I always had to leave early in the morning before her parents came, so...
Your parents came why?
I have 2-year-old twins, and my mom would come care for the kids, but Matthew was never living with me, which is why he couldn't be present, you know, when the family came.
Well, he says he stayed over and he had to leave before your parents got there, which sounds as if he couldn't make that up. Okay, and then you went over to your brother's?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to be working?
Yeah, I did get a job a few weeks after that. Working for Spice One as a driver, a bouncer for entertainment. It's strippers. But I was working that for a while until she made me quit because she was too jealous over the girls.
So then what did you do?
And then after that, I started working at Foster Farms.
So you were working?
Yeah, on and off until I wrecked the Mercedes SUV on the way home from work from doing overtime. Yeah, I was working.
In what month did you wreck the SUV?
I think it was August.
Now, between May and August, did he give you any money?
He did, $1,400.
In one lump sum?
No, it came in increments.
Is that correct, sir?
Actually, I gave her $1,500, not $14.
You gave her $1,500 in
Yes.
increments?
I gave
In
12
increments.
or 13 to her at one time to Civic because she wanted me to upgrade and get a better car.
Just a second. So you sold your Honda Civic and
Yes.
you gave her the...
12 or $1,300 out of that.
Okay, and then you gave her more money.
More money when I was working for Foster Farms, yes.
And in total, it was $1,500.
Yes.
What was the other money for?
For basically being over her house with her all the time to kind of help out. It wasn't stipulated that I had to do that, but I did do that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's $2,100. Is that right, Miss Graham, for the Mercedes 300? And he paid you back $1,500?
$1,400.
$1,400. Okay. $900. That's left. What else did you lend him money for?
I bought him an iPhone. And
I don't care about the iPhone.
Well, I loaned him money for
That's
it.
your problem.
Okay.
That's your problem. You want to keep track of him. That's your problem. $900 he owes you for the Mercedes SUV. What else?
His teeth were knocked out in a fight, and I paid for his dental work.
That's good for you. That's what you wanted to do.
Well, I loaned him the money to do it.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. He didn't care. You cared.
Well, he did not want to be without a front tooth.
Did you ask her to have that done?
No.
Did you go to her dentist?
No.
What dentist did you
Western
go to?
Dental.
Who found was it?
I don't even remember.
How much was it?
$241.
What else?
There were several wrecks with the SUV.
That's your problem. He owes you $1,141. Anything else? $1,141. Are we done? Thank you. That's all.
Now it's case number 7 on the calendar in the matter of Johns versus Cross. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Johns, you and the Crosses are neighbors.
Yes.
And you moved in after they moved into their home.
Yes.
And it is your claim that you were forced because of their conduct to put up security cameras on your property, and you want them to pay for that. I don't know, respond to whatever situations you did. There were some problems between your kids, and that happens. The most important part of your claim, however, is that Mr. and Mrs. Cross's son, that's this little boy here who looks very nonchalant, that's only going to last for a minute, assaulted your son in the bathroom in school and injured his teeth.
Yes.
And you want them to be responsible for the dental bills.
Yes.
Your name, sir?
Timothy Cross, just Judy.
Did you ever watch me on television?
No. Yeah.
Sit still. Tell me what you think of me.
Cool.
Cool. You think that I can tell when somebody's lying to me?
Yes.
So you wouldn't think of lying to me, right?
No.
You remember when you hit him in the bathroom?
Yes.
Come closer to me. Bird's going to help you. I don't like to be so far away. Much better. So you remember when this thing happened in the bathroom?
Yes.
Tell me what happened. Right here.
He was bullying
you.
Yes.
How was he bullying you?
He says that my dad should have went to jail.
He said your father should have went to jail.
Yes.
Why?
Because my dad was always target shooting out of his shed.
He was target shooting out of the shed in your house or at their shed?
Out of our shed.
What was he using to target you?
A shotgun.
Anything else that you use for target practice?
No.
Shoot arrows out of your house? Have a bow and arrow?
My dad does.
Ever use that in the backyard? On a target?
No.
Where does he use the bow and arrow? So he was saying to you that your father should have gone to jail.
Yes.
So what did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah, I want you to tell me what happened in school.
Every day I always go to the bathroom after school, and I was drying my hands, and...
You were what?
Drying my hands off.
Drying your hands?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And he walked in, and he saw me. He turned around and turned the lights off. I pushed him into the wall.
How did you do that?
I flipped around, and then I felt his jacket, so I pushed him.
How many times did you push him into the wall?
2 times.
Why?
And
I didn't hear about any bullying. I heard him say to you that he thought your father should be in jail because he shot a shotgun outside from your shed. That's not bullying you.
Well, he kept throwing me and my brother's book bags and taking stuff.
He did?
Yeah.
He's half your size.
Plus his other brother.
I'm not interested in his other brother. I'm interested in him. He's half your size. Right?
Yeah.
I don't actually see him bullying you. I can't visualize that. Maybe he has an older brother. Does he have an older brother?
Yes.
Is his older brother bigger than you are?
No, he's kind of like same size as me.
But he's much smaller than you are. He had a problem with his older brother. Why didn't you pick on somebody your own size?
Because his brother wasn't there.
But he was.
Yes.
Go sit down. Mr. and Mrs. Cross, what happened when you found out that your son had caused injury to him?
We found out from the school that he had caused injury to a kid. And when he come home, he had told us who it was. And at that point in time, I knew there was going to be trouble, because there's always trouble with them, but that's beside the point. And then the next day, the police officer had come to our house.
Well, what did you say?
It was wrong. He should have never done it. And he knows that he's not supposed to do that, but he's been tormented for the last 2.5 years by these kids.
Not by this one.
By both of them.
No, it can't be tormented by him. Maybe by his brother.
They both had, all 3 of their kids had to be removed from the school bus, put on another school bus.
How old are the other How old are the other children?
I don't know how old their children is.
Must be bigger than he is.
Their one kid is, and I don't know how old their other kid is.
How old are your children?
7 and 8. I have twins. His sister are twins. My son, the older son.
I didn't ask anything. I told him that he couldn't do it.
I think he encourages them.
Did I ask you anything?
No.
Mr. and Mrs. Cross, how long have you lived in that neighborhood?
Almost 13 years.
Who lived in the house that the Johns moved into before they did?
There was a family that lived there.
How long did they live there?
They lived there for a few years.
They have children?
Yes, they had children.
Did you ever have any trouble with the...
Never had any trouble with any other people.
You shoot your rifle out of your shed?
Well, I did until they had called the DEC on me after my son accidentally shot an arrow into their yard.
Which son?
My older boy.
How old is he?
He was 12. No, he had got a new compound bow, and he wasn't used to it. And he had pulled back on it, and I said, don't, and he let it go. And we couldn't find the arrow, and we were searching for that arrow.
We left out the fact that their son threatened to shoot my son earlier that week.
I'm going to dismiss your case. How's that?
Sorry, Your Honor.
Because I have a feeling that while there may be difficulty with these children, you're trouble.
I've never even talked to them.
You're trouble. You can't control yourself. You understand that, Mr. Johns? Your wife has trouble controlling herself.
I don't believe she does, Your Honor.
Oh, I think she does.
If you had to live by these people, I'm sure your husband...
Other people lived as neighbors of theirs for years.
Arrows that far away from their swing sets.
I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
Just for my own curiosity, I want to see the police reports, and I say that with a plural, with regard to the arrows that you found in your backyard.
I didn't have enough time to get them, Your Honor.
Then you shouldn't have come to court.
He admitted to it.
Then you shouldn't have come to court.
I'm here for my son.
Fine.
I'm not here for that.
Well, you are, because part of your claim was putting security cameras in your home and asking for the cost of that because of their conduct. And you talked about it in your complaint. So if you didn't have your evidence, you don't come to court. All I heard about was an archaeologist was shot in your backyard. I want to see all the other reports.
I don't have any, Your Honor.
How many arrows, Mr. Johns, were found in your backyard?
1, Your Honor.
That's what I thought. Did you buy your house, Mr. Johns?
Yes.
You might want to look elsewhere for a house. Life is short. They're not moving. And with your wife, you are never going to get along with these people.
That's true.
I know it's true. Your case. Mr. Herring, is this the new girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is she here for any reason other than to just irritate the plaintiff?
Character witness, Your Honor.
Who told you needed a character witness?
Nobody.
Well, you don't. Anyway, Mr. Your boyfriend anymore? You think he owes you a whole lot of money?
Yes.
I'm not so sure. So let's go back and let's deal with this expeditiously, please. When, for the first time, do you believe that Mr. Herring became indebted to you?
When I first let him drive my car was when he first became indebted to me. After he started driving my car, he started doing work on the vehicle. He pulled parts out of the vehicle.
When was this?
This was over last summer of 2009.
What month in 2009?
I purchased the vehicle in May of 2009, and about a month after that, he removed the front fog lights and the front grille.
And
he never replaced it.
And then you moved in with him?
No, I did not.
Well, you planned on moving in with him in
Yes, I did.
January of 2010?
Yes.
Forget what happened in the summer of 2009. What's next?
July of 2009, he stated to me that he wanted to go back to school, and he was looking to get a laptop because it was easier for him to have a laptop. And he knew that I had
Don't tell me what he knew.
I had an account with Dell. He asked me to purchase the laptop for him, and he would pay the payments on the laptop until it was paid off.
When did you purchase the laptop?
In August of 2009.
Did he make a payment in September?
No.
October?
No.
November?
No.
After he didn't pay you for the laptop, September, October, November, and December, you were moving in together?
Yes.
And you went shopping to buy stuff for the apartment?
Yes.
Forget the laptop. What's next?
The stuff that I purchased for the apartment, we went out because I was moving in. He asked me to move in. He became a maintenance technician at the apartment complex. He was getting 80% off his rent, and he had nothing in the apartment. We went shopping, and I paid for everything for the apartment.
Like what?
I paid for everything to do the bathrooms, such as bath rugs, towels, everything to decorate the apartment.
Decorating is a big word, Ms. Basinski. Bathroom and towels is one thing. Lamps, tables, bed, nightstands, chairs, dining table. That's decorating. What did you purchase?
I purchased everything for the bathroom, and I purchased everything such as decorating the walls for the apartment, such as various candle sconces that I purchased as well, and I do have receipts for that.
And what happened?
And I didn't end up moving in with him, and everything remained at the apartment.
Why?
Because he called me on January of 2010 and stated that he had gotten another woman pregnant.
Okay, Mr. Herring, I'm only going to ask you about one thing, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that is about the items that Ms. Apartment, because I believe she bought you the laptop, as you indicated, as a gift, because there was no indication by any of your actions afterwards, by any sort of payment, that you believed it was anything other than a gift, so it doesn't make sense. However, I might have a problem with things that she purchased for the apartment with the intention of moving into the apartment and then didn't move in. You want to tell me about the things she purchased for the apartment?
From day one, Your Honor. I mean, when we first started dating,
I don't care what happened when you first started dating.
All right, with the apartment.
All I care about is the stuff she purchased for the apartment. Tell me how that came about.
I got the new job, as the maid said. She bought me that stuff, I believe, because she wanted...
I don't care what you believe. I want you to tell me how it came about. Did you go shopping together?
No.
She bought the bathroom stuff by herself,
Yes,
alone, without you.
Without me.
What about
everything she ever got me was as a gift, Your Honor.
Hey, is there something that I'm saying that you're not following?
No, Your Honor.
I determined whether it was a gift. I determined whether there was a breach of an agreement to move in together. I determined whether it was a loan. I determined whether she intends to repay. And I don't care what you believe. What you believe, what you think, what you feel is maybe relevant to your mother. It is totally irrelevant to me. I asked you a very simple question. I said, did you go shopping with her for any of the things that are now in your apartment?
No, Your Honor.
Did you put up on the walls anything that she bought for the apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you put up?
The candle things, the candle holders for the wall.
And are you living in the apartment now?
Yes, Your Honor.
With the girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
And does she like the candle holders that somebody else bought?
Yes, they're nice candle holders.
I'm asking you a question. Does she like them?
Yes, Your Honor. She likes them.
Does she know that somebody else bought them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. So tell me about that. She came home holding them, or they were delivered?
No, she came over to visit, and she dropped off the stuff to me.
Tell me what she said to you when she dropped it off.
I got you some decorations for your apartment.
Did you ever have a discussion with her, Mr. Herring, about moving in with you?
She had hinted at it, but we never had. No, we never had a sturdy conversation about her moving in.
I don't talk about sturdy. I asked you a simple question, Mr. Herring, and I expect an answer. Did you ever have a discussion with the plaintiff about moving into your apartment? That's a lie.
It's not a lie.
Yes, it is.
She wanted to move in, but I never wanted her to move in.
That's not my question. I said, did you ever have a discussion? The fact that you wanted to move in suggests to me that you had a discussion about it.
I guess, yeah. Well, we didn't have a conversation. She wanted to move in. I didn't want her to move in.
How did you figure that out? You went to a Ouija board person?
No,
you went to somebody who read tarot
asked.
cards? Then you had to have a discussion.
No, we didn't have a discussion. We never sat down and have a conversation saying that we were going to...
Sat down, jogging. Based on what did you think that she wanted to move in?
Because she had said so.
That's a discussion. She said to you, I want to move in. Or whatever she said. Maybe we should move in together. And what did you say to her?
No.
Part of discussion, don't you understand?
Sounds like a question to me. She wanted to move in. I answered no.
That's a discussion. Bird, do you think he understands English?
Here's so.
That's a discussion. We just had a discussion, Bird and I. Do you understand that, sir? Including the candle holders that your girlfriend likes so much.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because she wouldn't have bought the stuff for the apartment unless she anticipated moving into the apartment.
Your Honor, I'd like to say that I really have no use.
What you have a use for and what you don't. Do you want it back or don't you want it back?
I want the money for it.
You're not going to get the money for it. You're going to get it back. Do you want it back or you don't want it back?
No, I don't want it back.
You don't want it back. Then your case is dismissed. Thank you very
Your
much.
Honor,
That's all.
I
really find the computer was a gift.
It was not
the car was your problem. And the only thing that you would have gotten back are the things that you purchased for the apartment because there was an agreement, at least in your mind, that you were, I'm speaking, that you were going to move into the apartment, so you purchased the things for the apartment. It is unreasonable for him to keep those things in his apartment because I don't care who broke the agreement was broken. You're entitled to the stuff back. If you don't want it back, I can't help you. Do you want it back or not?
No.
Good.
This is case number 411 on the calendar in the matter of Lights versus King.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Lights and Ms. King, you share a common backyard.
Yes, we do.
And you have one dog.
Actually, Your Honor, I have 2 dogs, but one dog that was involved in this incident.
And Ms. King, you have 2 dogs?
Well, I had 2 dogs. I only have 1 dog now.
You had an agreement, Ms. King, with Mr. Lights that because you show us either both dogs are aggressive, you have a lab pit mix?
Actually, yes, I do, Your Honor.
And you have 2 pit bulls?
I did. It was
at the time
as well.
That you agreed that you would not let both sets of dogs go out at the same time. How many months or years was that agreement in place?
Your Honor, that discussion was had very early on. As soon
Give
as
me a month and year.
It was June of last year.
In any event, Mr. Lights, you had let your dog out.
Yes.
Ms. King, while Mr. Lights' dog was out, you opened the door. According to you, you didn't see that his dog was out, so you let your dogs out. And that fight, Mr. Lights was injured. He lost a tooth, and he lost a tooth because what he did was, in order to separate his dog from your dog, had your dog let go of his dog, was he bit your dog, and he lost a tooth. So he wants to be compensated for that, and he wants to be compensated for... Do you have vet bills?
I do. Well, I don't have vet bills, but I do have lost wages.
I don't care about your lost wages. It's not that I don't care about it. That was your injury. Your injury was you lost a tooth. Okay. Ms. King, you have a counterclaim. I don't understand what your counterclaim is for, because there's no question that your dog was the aggressor in this attack. You ultimately gave that dog away?
I did.
Okay, so now you have one.
Yes.
And now you're more careful when you let... Why do you think you have a counterclaim?
Well, after the incident, Mr. Lights did just continue to harass me, sending me...
How did he harass you?
Well, in one incident, he yelled at me and my mother when we were going inside. He had his dog off the leash just commonly in the yard. I observed it. I mentioned it to my mom, and he began yelling from at the top of his lungs at the balcony. After that point, we were not supposed to have contact. He continued to send me text messages. I did call the police, and they let me know to, if there was no intent, that he shouldn't text me just to get clear intent. There was none.
Did he text you for what?
It would just be random pictures, just random texts.
You have to show... Nothing that had to do with reimbursing him for his injury?
Not past that point. It was just...
Did he ever ask you to reimburse him for his injury?
For the tooth?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a second. And what did you tell him?
I told him that I couldn't reimburse him for it, that due to the fact that both the dogs were in the fight, we were both outside during the fight, they were both pit bulls, that we pretty much agreed at that moment we would take care of our individual injuries. I did provide medicine, but there was no agreement to take care of his tooth.
Well, there was an agreement that you breached. You breached an agreement. You had an agreement with him that the 2 dogs would not be left out at the same time. Due to your negligence out in the yard, and you let your dog out, that precipitated the fight. So you breached an agreement that you had made with him at the beginning of August.
Well, with our agreement, we both agreed to not have the dogs out as long as we both were outside with our dogs. I went out with my dog from the porch. He was actually upstairs in his kitchen balcony area, so he was not in the yard with his dog. So that was the agreement, that if we were there unleashed, we would both be present as we walked our dogs.
Ms. King, the whole idea in the two dogs not being out at the same time, not under supervision, which is not on a leash,
right,
under your control, was that both dogs may or may not have a tendency to be an agreement. You breached that contract by letting your dog out unleashed in the yard. His dog was there. But for that breach of your agreement, we wouldn't be here today. So you are responsible for his injury. And if he asked you to help pay for his tooth, and you said, I'm not going to do it, and he was persistent, that's not harassment. That's being annoyed. Now I'll take a look at the text that you're talking about.
So this is essentially when all the pictures started coming in, and then down to here is when I told him there should be no more contact.
This is not harassment.
On different occasions.
And this is not harassment. He's showing you injury to his dog. You think that that's harassment? Nonsense. Can I see the estimate from the dentist, please? So this is for an implant.
It is. It will have to be an implant. The tooth actually broke, and there's some tooth there still, but they're going to have to remove that and do a bone graft.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. After having a sort of get-together, and it is your claim that he was clowning around and jumped on the bed and broke the bed.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. You weren't in the room when that happened.
No, I was not.
Who was?
My son and daughter.
Okay. Why don't you stand up? Both of you. What's your first name?
Trey.
And your first name?
Chris.
Chris is your friend?
Yeah, he was.
He was your friend on the day that your bed broke?
Yes.
Okay, how many people did you have over?
It was about 5 people.
Including your sister?
Yes.
Would she make the 6th person?
Yes.
And would you make 7?
No, that would be 6 total.
All together? And everybody was in your room? Weren't they in your room?
Because my room was flooded because I have a room in the basement, so that's the only room we could use at the time.
Okay, so tell me what Chris did to the bed.
Well, we were just all in the room just drinking and then...
Drinking what?
Alcohol.
What time of the day was this?
It was about probably 2 o'clock p.m.
Where was your mother?
I think she was at work.
Where'd you get the liquor from?
We went down to the store and picked it up.
Who bought it?
I did.
Why?
We wanted to drink that day.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
So everybody's drinking in your house?
Yes.
When you're not home?
When I'm not home.
Right. And you do understand, Mr. Him, you would have been responsible.
I do now, and I did when I got home. I was pretty upset to the point that I kicked him out.
I don't know whether I would have kicked him out, but is he still out or is he
No,
in?
he's back home.
Was everybody drunk?
No.
No.
Who was drunk?
Really, I remember only one person was really drunk, and it was because he bought the bottle, so...
Who was that?
It was another friend named Daniel.
And Chris was drinking?
I wouldn't say he was drunk. He was probably a little tipsy.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
Well, we were just all in the room. We were drinking, taking shots. I'd say he probably took around 3 or 4 shots, and then after that, I'm not really sure even what happened because it happened so fast. He was just, I guess he just jumped up because he started acting wild or whatever, and then he just, like, leg
dropped the bed?
It's like he jumped up and, like, I don't... he just put his leg out and just, like, fell on the bed, and it just broke in half.
Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
Do you remember what you were doing?
I do. I stood up to talk to our mutual friend, Trayvon, who was also there. And when I sat back down on the bed itself fell.
Anything
That's not true.
Anything else anybody wants to tell me?
Yes. After the incident occurred, my son, Trey, went and talked to Chris about this. I guess when this incident occurred, told him, you have to pay for this bed. He agreed. He gave him $20. Trey then gave it to me. And I said, that's not going to pay for this bed. We literally just got this bed. Since I'd known him for a few years, I thought that, he was going to take care of it. About 6 weeks went by. I didn't hear anything. I hadn't seen Chris. I see Chris all the time, usually, but he hasn't been around in the neighborhood, anything. I called his mother. I left a message. She called me back, and I kind of explained to her what happened, and she said, oh, Kristen, tell me about this. I'm surprised. She said, he doesn't make much money, because when I called her, I said, I understand now that he has a job, he can pay for this bed.
How much was the bed?
The bed was $398.
Okay, so the bed was $400, and he's given you $20.
Yes.
Okay, that's $380, correct?
Yes.
Do you know who's going to pay for the other half of the bed?
Probably
her. Your 22-year-old, who bought only going to pay half. Who'll pay the other half, the other $190. She should pay the other half, because where is her responsibility lesson? What happened with her as a result of going out and buying liquor for all these minors?
Those things I found out later. So, I mean, she does need to be responsible. Everybody that's involved needs to be responsible for taking care of.
And what about him?
He's already been dealt with. Like I said, I kicked him out. This was one of a many incidents that occurred prior to this party, and I was kind of fed up at that point.
Was his sister involved with the other incidents?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Oh, you're working, Mr. Brady?
Yes, ma'am.
So you acted like a fool. You're not supposed to be drinking. You're 19 years old, which means you're supposed to take responsibility for what you do. She's got to take responsibility. It's a sneaking suspicion that with a mother like this, the mother like this is going to make sure she does it. Right?
That's correct.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $190. Arrested. Alistair, you rented a couple of rooms in Mr. Hollingsworth's house, and it is your claim that he made your life a living hell. You want to be compensated that for moving costs, harassment, and physical and mental abuse.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Hollingsworth says that you were a nightmare tenant, and he's countersuing for property damages.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever rented in your house before?
No, ma'am.
Have you rented in your house since?
No, ma'am.
That's a good idea, because you know why, Mr. Hollingsworth? You never know what you're going to get. Who lives in your house with you?
Just me, my girlfriend, and my 2 kids, my babies.
Well, you and your girlfriend would probably be better off getting a second job before you rent to a stranger.
Yes.
And it's not easy to move in with a family, Miss Hollister. When did you move in with Mr. Hollingsworth?
I moved in with him October 2nd.
And where had you been living?
I had been living with my sister-in-law.
For how long?
Probably about maybe a month.
And before that, where were you living?
Before that, I lived in a street.
And how long did you live there?
3 months.
And before that, where did you live?
Before that, I had lived up on 10th Street, and I did get evicted from there, ma'am. That was about a year ago.
Okay, so you were evicted, you lived someplace for 3 months, you lived someplace for a month, and then you came to Mr. Hollingsworth.
Yes.
And you came on October 2nd. When did you leave?
I just left here a couple weeks ago on the 27th because we went through an eviction.
He evicted you because you didn't do what?
Pay
rent.
No, I had the rent, ma'am.
No, did you? Not had it. I asked you whether you paid it.
No, he wouldn't accept it.
Listen to me, Miss Hollister.
Yes, honey.
I want you to understand something. He wanted to rent it. That's why he was renting. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken in a tenant. Because you're not crazy, are you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So there's only one reason why he wouldn't take your money. Wouldn't take your money. It wasn't because he was saying to you, we want you to live with us because everything is wonderful and you're going to be like Nanny McPhee. You're going to be part of the family, right? What he was saying is, I don't want your money. I don't want you. It's not worth the aggravation. Get out. But you hadn't paid him, which is why he moved to evict you. Now, did she offer you money after you moved to evict her?
No, she went shopping.
What do you mean she went shopping?
She came home with some brand new boots, some brand new shopping bag, took everybody out to dinner.
Everybody in your family?
No, her friends.
Okay.
I need to move out the following month, and after she could not get another apartment because they denied her, she told me, you have to evict me.
And you did?
Yes.
Great. All right. So what do you think, Miss Hollister, that the defendant owes you for?
There's so much.
No, not so much. I don't want to hear so much. I'm a very busy person.
I understand that.
I'm a very busy person, and this case is going nowhere fast.
Right.
So I want you to tell me what you think this man owes you for.
Because he's put me and my daughter's lives through hell for the last 2 months. Since he got all my money, he propositioned me a couple days after that. I told him I don't get down. I just gave you all my money. Since then, the cops were called, ma'am, 18 times.
Happy that you're not there.
I am so very happy.
Great. Then what do you want? You want $2,500 for what? You didn't give him $2,500.
Because I had to get a storage. I have to find another place to live, which is no problem. I know that, and I'm trying.
Well, you've had a problem with places to live. You've had problems with places to live. You've been evicted now twice that I know of in 1 year. How old are you?
I'm 44.
44. I'm 73. I've never been evicted.
Right.
How old are you, Bird? Come on, speak up.
57.
57.
58.
58. Yeah, you're 58. 58. How many times have you been evicted from a residence?
Never.
Never. And they were more. And I have a feeling it's not the only 2 times you've been evicted.
Yes, ma'am, it has. It is.
Yeah, well, then you had a bad year.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so you don't get any money from this court for harassment. What do you think you want?
I'm suing her for damages. Because
what damages?
CPS came out to the house and kicked in the room door because she refused to talk to CPS that came for her and her daughter. And this is not...
Child Protective Services came on a report.
Correct.
Who filed the report? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Was it you?
No, ma'am. No. I didn't call.
Somebody else called on your behalf?
No, ma'am.
All right. I have a feeling. I'm not even going to go into that. She did not bust open her door.
No, the police did.
Next!
The second is I'm suing for mental distress. The people, she was bringing multiple people in my house, leaving the front door unlocked. And I had to call the police. I mean, people coming in with hoodies on, 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'm talking, every time I talk to her.
Are you glad she's gone?
I'm glad.
Say, thank goodness she's gone. From
Thank
this court,
God she's gone.
From her, you're not getting any money.
I'm just happy that she's gone.
Perfect. And you know what? Mr. Hollingsworth, I'm happy that you're happy.
Yes.
Great. How, Miss Hollister?
Yes, I'm currently staying with my sister-in-law again until the place.
And you don't have a new tenant?
No, never.
And you're not going to get a new tenant?
Oh, no, never.
Everybody learned their lesson.
That's
Goodbye.
right.
Now it's case number 259 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Jackson, you and the defendant have a couple of kids together, clearly a very long-term relationship. You lived together for a substantial period of time. You claim that he owes you some money for loans and some damage he did when he crashed your car. Mr. Johnson has a cross-complaint. He said that you have some property that belongs to him and purposely with your separation. So for my purposes, the important thing for me is timeline. When did you and Mr. Johnson start to live together?
We started to live together in May 2013.
You have two children. How old are the children?
2 years old and 10 months.
And according to her complaint, for a period of time between 2013, when you started to live together, and now you were in jail.
For a 3-month period, yes.
3 months. Which 3 months?
July 23rd to October 25th.
Of 2016. So with Mr. Johnson, with the exception of that jail period, am I correct that you and Miss Jackson, who was pregnant when you went into jail, is that right? That you lived together as a family?
Right.
Is that correct?
Correct.
That would be correct.
That's correct.
Now, you had an apartment together?
I had an apartment and he came to stay with me, yes.
He came to live with you?
Yes.
In May of 2013?
Yes.
Did you have a lease?
Yes.
Lease was in your name?
Yes.
You extended the lease?
No.
So you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
Are you still in the same apartment?
I am, yes.
And while you were together, what kind of work were you doing?
Real estate assistant at Wisdom Realty.
And where were you working, sir?
May 13th, I was working for ACOC. It's a GED program in Northeast D.C. as a tutor.
Is that right?
That's right.
And Mr. Johnson, how did you split the rent and utilities in the house? How did you manage the finances?
It pretty much went half and half.
Did you put the money in a joint account to pay the bills?
No, I would give her cash.
And she would pay the bills?
She would pay.
Is that because you were paid in cash or because you cashed your check?
Cash my check.
Where did you cash your check?
Bank of America.
Is that where you have an account?
Yes.
Where is your account?
I have Navy Federal and Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo, Bank of America. And I assume everything was going fine in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. You had another baby together, right? When, month, and year?
May 13th, 2013. No, 16. 17.
2017.
May 13th, 2017.
17, correct.
Is when you had an argument, you ceased living together. Prior to that time, you were living as a family.
Yes.
I'm not interested in the loans you took out as a family. Do you understand? Because that's what your lawsuit is mainly about. That while you were together, living as a family, you took out some loans, and he was supposed to pay them. They were really for his loans. You split the money. Courts don't care. You're living as a family. It's your problem. Did you pay back some of the loan?
I told her I would help her with some, but I never made an agreement to.
No. Loans. In what year?
2016 and 2017.
Prior to your breaking up?
Correct.
When you were living together, were you giving her, pay careful attention, were you still giving her cash?
Absolutely.
Because that's how you made your arrangements. You gave her cash, you put it in the bank?
That's it.
And how did you pay the loans?
Through my credit card.
Right. But you mixed your money up, right?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? He gave you money. It's not that he didn't give you money. He gave you money. How do I know whether you took any of the money he gave you and paid off some of your credit card? How do I know that? And we don't have to know that because you live together as a family. Have to deal with is you transferred some money from his bank to your bank.
Yes.
When was that?
On June 2nd, 2017.
Well, that's after you broke up, so you know you can't do that. Did you pay him back for that?
Yes.
Okay, so are you telling me that you weren't made whole for that?
No.
The bank? Are you telling me that you were never made whole for this $800 by your bank?
I never received the money, no.
From the bank?
I never received the money.
Did you pay him back that $800?
Yes, I did.
Show me.
This is a receipt that I have that I had him sign when I went to the ATM. We went to the ATM together.
Where did he sign this?
Where his signature is under the writing that I put.
Well, I see your signature, Jackson.
And his is like the big S with the J and stuff. I also went to his job and gave him more money before that day and had him sign another receipt.
Show me. Would you show this, please, to Mr. Johnson? I've compared his signature to the signature on his answer.
This receipt is kind of faded, but I sent it to an email before it got faded. I have a picture of it that I took.
This says Talisa paid Stephen $320, 6/3/17.
Yes, it doesn't say 800, it says 320.
The remainder of the $800.
I'm asking you, said no, you never paid me.
No.
No what?
She did this.
But you signed it.
She did this. She may have signed it. Us being together long enough, she does things like this.
Never, ever.
Just a second. Did you report the fraud to the bank?
I did, but I made claim that I know her. I made her knowledge that we was together at the time, so they said it was under investigation. And I never received any money. I got laid off from, I don't have that bank card anymore. I've been trying to get in contact with PayPal.
So is what you're saying, she never gave you any money towards the $800 that she took out in June?
She took the money out of her PayPal account and had the money in her hand. She never gave me any money.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me she had a PayPal account in which she had deposited at some point with your consent this $800? And then she spent it? Just a second.
Yes.
Look at me.
Yes.
Look at me. While you were together, you accumulated $800 or more.
No, this happened after we weren't together.
Well, I know she took it out in June, but what I'm asking you is, when did you put it in?
I got paid June 1st on my paycheck. She took the money out June 2nd at like 4 in the morning. Before I could wake up, the money was gone on my account.
Oh, well, then now you have to show me. Now
this is it.
May I see it?
Your Honor, he took money out of my account prior, and I've been asking him for the money he took.
You have to understand, I don't care what happened before you broke up. That's your family business. But after you were no longer together, you have no right to take money from him.
He gave me permission.
Just a second. Show me. He says he didn't. Show me that he gave you permission to withdraw $800 from his account after you broke up. That's all I'm asking you. Don't say anything. Show me. Okay, the last part of your complaint is that in January, while you were living together, he had a car accident in your car.
Yes, one of 3.
You're together. After January, you stayed together January, February, March.
Throughout our relationship.
I don't care. He wasn't driving your car without your permission?
That day he was. He was.
Okay, fine. Okay, now, finished with your claim. Let's get to your counterclaim, sir. What items do you think that the plaintiff has that belong to you?
She has a gold watch and mask. It's a Dawn & Co. watch.
A gold watch?
A gold watch and mask. It has diamond bezels in it. Paid $700 for it.
And a speaker box.
It was a speaker box. It's a tailgating box that we paid for last. I paid for it was usually mine. Something I really like to listen to.
Just a second. A speaker box that's in the house that you purchased when you were living together as a couple.
Right, exactly.
Forget it. It's not personal. Where is it?
I have no idea. After he crashed the car, he asked me, was it in the car or in the house? And I told him I didn't see it in the car was towed.
I'll say something. She told me the same thing last year. She took my watch from me, and then after I got out from jail, she had my watch as a present. It was my watch.
Because I had
She lied to me all year long saying she didn't have it, the same thing she just said.
If you broke up in May, what were your clothes doing in her house in August for her to pour bleach on?
Just a few things maybe still laying around in closets or so. And then she came in to my new girlfriend's house, and she put the clothes on the car with the bleach and said, tell your new girlfriend wash your dirty laundry.
I assume, Mr. Johnson, that if you hadn't taken the clothes when you left, you weren't interested in them. $100. She owes you $800.
And then I have this, a windshield she bust. She broke a windshield wiper.
When?
This was...
When you left, you weren't interested in them.
Okay.
Okay. So she owes you $800. She owes you $800.
And then I have this, a windshield she bust. She broke a windshield wiper.
When?
This was... I have 9/22/17. I got a front windshield fix. She put several holes in.
Just a second.
In a car mount.
September of this year.
Yes.
After you broke up.
Yes.
On what date did she?
Let's say August 25th.
Police report.
I have pictures. I don't have a
police report.
I don't. I only have pictures here to show and a receipt.
Claim is dismissed. Miss Jackson's claim is dismissed. It is without merit. However, on the counterclaim, I'm awarding Mr. Johnson $800. I'm not satisfied.
You didn't cover lost wages. What I was suing for.
Did you understand? I'm dismissing your complaint. You have no complaint. He came to your job because he was angry that you took out money from his account. And if you lost your job, all I asked you to do was show me.
It was a verbal agreement, and that I gave him the money back.
We're done. Ms. Johnson, the defendant is your sister. I think what I read here is that you're twin sisters.
Yes.
What I read in your complaint is that when your mom passed away, there was a lawsuit as a result of some sort of negligence. In 2016, a substantial settlement of that lawsuit. I think each of you received somewhere close to $150,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sometime in 2017, in early 2017, your sister, according to you, asked for money. She said she needed money for what?
For personal business.
What does that mean? That nothing's personal here.
Phone bill, expenses to live. So
what did you
I asked her for some money. Yes, I did.
Do you work?
Part-time.
What do you do?
Production art.
What do you do with the other part-time?
School.
What kind of school?
Straight University for a bachelor's degree.
You've been going to school?
For like 3 months.
How old are you?
49.
How much do you get for going to school?
Nothing.
Who pays for the school?
Financial aid.
How much do you get in financial aid?
$9,000 a year.
Do you have to pay any of that money back?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
When I graduate.
How many credits do you have so far?
I just started school, so I don't have any.
And you're going to school part-time?
I take 2 classes for right now, but it's full-time. It's 4 years of college.
If you take 2 classes
per semester.
If you take 2 classes per semester and it's a 4-year college program, you're going to be 80 by the time you graduate.
Well,
that time you're going to be getting $9,000 a year financially.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I mean, two classes per quarter of the year.
What'd you do with all the money that you got from your mother's settlement?
Well, first of all, I didn't get what my sisters have gotten because I took out loans.
What did you get?
I got $100,000 total after loans I've taken out prior to.
I don't care about the loans you've taken out. You're the grown-up lady. You're almost half a century old. What I'm asking you is how much money you got from your mother's mother's settlement.
Well, first of all, I didn't get what my sisters have gotten because I took out loans.
What did you get?
I got $100,000 total after loans I've taken out prior to.
I don't care about the loans you've taken out. You're the grown-up lady. You're almost half a century old. What I'm asking you is how much money settlement?
$100,000.
In total? I'm not talking about...
In total.
How much did you get?
$149,000.
Why did she get $50,000 less?
We all got the same amount of money.
Of course you did.
Well, I took out loans prior to I got my money. So that's why when the checks was...
Who loaned you the money?
Oasis loaned me the money before I got my settlement.
I got it. So you got $149,000, but you spent part of it before you even got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, that sounds like what we're doing with school.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
It's okay.
Perfect.
Yes,
so you blew it.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in human services. I already have my degree in human services.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
For whom?
Counseling. I do human service counseling.
Who do you live with?
I live with my husband and my son.
How many sons do you have?
I have one.
How old?
He'll be 25 next month.
And he lives at home?
Yes, he's in school. He's still in school. He's about to graduate.
Jasmine work?
Yes.
What kind of work does he do?
Well, he's retired. Well, he's on disability, actually, excuse me. And he does, he works for the charter school down in the area where we live, and he's a crossing guard. So he does that to supplement the income that he gets for disability.
And who do you live with?
A friend of mine.
Your sister doesn't have to help you with bills. That's your responsibility. You're 49 years old. How much money did you take from her? $1,500 did she take from you? I have a breakdown, but I do... Just tell me, in January of 2017, she called you, according to your complaint. I gave her... I said $1,500. That was the first amount because allegedly she called and she was like, can I borrow some money? And I was like, well, I advised her to put some of the money into an investment account, which she told me she did. And when she called me to ask for money, I was like, listen, you're going to have to go to the bank and say that you're going through a hardship, and they'll be able to release the funds, hopefully. And then you're talking about putting money in in something like a CD that couldn't be taken out? Well, it's an investment account, like a retirement, some of the money away, So when she called me, and I was like, well, what are you talking about? Just call them, and they'll let you. And then when she went to them, allegedly, she called me back. Oh, they confiscated my money. They have a patent. How much did you give her at that time? It was $1,500 total. Western Union. She received. I'd like to see proof of it. January, right here, it's below here, January 13th. So it was $1,374, and the fee. Friend, do you live with male friend or female friend?
A male friend.
Does that male friend work?
Yes, he do, but it's part-time work, but it's not consistent work.
You owe your sister $2,074. Pay her. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Cover me! Reloading! Down! Cover me!